here, especially with the AWP investment. Art, though, snuck his way through the smoke. He's going to land the shot onto Breezy as well. This allows for an opening onto the upper bomb site.
And the smoke tossed into main. Going to extend the incursion onto the site. The bomb still hasn't been planted. It needs to be retrieved. Still dropped out in lobby. K-Serato going to pick it up for his team. There's a Molotov into heaven. The Fury are doing a good job with their utility of keeping NRG at arm's reach. Another smoke into main. Ethan just spots Art before it has a chance to fully plume.
Taking so much damage, though. 6 HP on Zerk, 18 to Ethan's name. A lot of this is going to rely on Tarek being able to do something from heaven.
The smoke going to start to dwindle. Flashbang in. Tarek will get rid of Able J. Ethan going to come up big with a kill, and there's Zerk as well. NRG going to take the lead in our second overtime, mounting the pressure on Furia.
That was so well played as from Energy's side, too. You could see initially it was Ethan and Zerk set up outside of main. But it was just with the constant re-smoking, Zerk repositions outside of heaven, sets up a perfect flash for Tarek to land that first kill onto the bomb player right beside Silo. Creates openings for Ethan to push through main. And Zerk to get up on heaven to find that last kill. Just brilliantly done from Energy, having the patience and the presence of mind to reposition, understanding that main's not going to be the main focal point for a retake. Oh, missed timing there.
Yeah, Nade needs to come in earlier. That's what K-Serato was looking for.
Yeah, he was holding on to that Molotov for an extended period of time, too.
And it looks really clumsy, but if they want to push out fast, he has to throw that Molotov as soon as possible.
Yep.
You have to trust in your teammates to nade that squeaky door.
Oh, Stanislaw just millimeters away from actually spotting out Art. But instead, it's going to be Zerk to find the right timing. Art just so exposed out by T-Red. He's going to get a response, but Breezy's already found one. Able J's making a lot of noise on ramp. That makes Tarek fall.
Potentially back in this overtime. If they can see 2 in a row, you do fear the worst for them. 22, of course, now is what we're aiming at.
Oh, Ethan, does he... Is there any eye on heaven right now?
No.
He's not exposed.
Breezy may be looking at it. Yeah, he's just turned his attention with the SG, and 2 headshots will go his way. Yuri's done so well in this round, but it's going to be a 1-on-3 now. He'd also be picking up the ace if he somehow pulled this out the hat. There's nothing really going his way. The bomb's in a horrible spot. He's got a player to his left-hand side behind the vents, one behind the silos. You feel like whatever happens, he's a dead man, and Ethan will be the final player to face him.
Damn. What a turnaround there. It was looking like it could get really dicey for Energy with Ethan having focused his eyes on Squeaky. That is going to be Breezy. He's just turning his attention to heaven at the right time to find a double kill. There you go, yeah.
It literally was just in time, because when you said, is anyone watching heaven? He just turned from facing main to peek up to heaven, as 2 players showed themselves.
It's definitely what you needed from Energy's side, and now it's their turn to potentially put a flawless half on the board. And they get closed out at first CT half. Art once again figuring around the smoke. Not going to find the opening kill this time, though. Energy know now.
Has the vent been popped? Because if it hasn't, they know no one's gone downstairs. They know they're still clumped up here on the A site. Now they're starting to drop down.
Art goes through main. And Breezy's not noticed that.
Now they know. Circus spotted him. Molotov to heaven. Going to be peering out towards Squeaky. It's not a flash, it's a smoke. And that baits Yuri. He turns his back, fearing the worst. Going to turn away from the oncoming bullets. It's not going to work that way. Ethan, headshot delivered onto Vinny. Furia still have a foothold in this round, though. Heaven could become theirs. Able J feeling out ramp at the same time. Ethan's going to show his hand. And it gets ripped off.
It's aggressive from Ethan there. They had the men advantage. Now, though, Tarek's actually going to follow suit. This is definitely not something Fury is going to expect, and he's going to find the right timing here as well.
Eric coming in, looking to pulverize this first half of the second overtime. K-Serato has to hold a different angle to what he really ideally would like because of the Molotov, but going to be tossing one in retaliation. A lot of damage to Tarek, actually. Nearly burns to a crisp in hut. But he has 2 teammates to rest on. He's going to be going in first, taking the first point of call. frags coming down for Fury. It's a one-on-one. Can Cirque pull it off? CZ comes out. How's K-Strada not killed him? And one bullet will finalize, and Cirque will get the kill. And there's enough time for the defuse too. NRG with a clean sweep, second overtime.
How the hell does he dodge the bullets for Quesarado right there? That's a matrix movement out of the young Bulgarian. And you can see, yeah, that's devastating for Furia. Hands behind their heads. They definitely expected to pull that one back. Right now, this match is just all over the place.
You really feared the worst for Cirque when he pulled his CZ out there, because you could see that K-Strada wanted to go for the peak.
Yeah, you have to assemble the
It was this moment I thought it's over, because K-Strada just peeked him. I have no idea how he didn't get killed.
It takes so long, like the draw time of the ZZ. It's
like building a house every time you bring it out. It's unbelievable how long it takes, but...
buying furniture from IKEA and not having all the parts.
Whichever way you want to spin it, Van, it's 21-18, and Furia have got to win every round from here on out to take us to a third overtime. Any mistake, and they're done. It's a 2-0.
Let's see what the play is going to be. Yuri, once again, wants to deal with Ethan. Ethan wisened up to this earlier on, took the detour around Silo. See if he keeps that up. Instead, it's going to be Vinny to find Breezy through Squeaky. That's going to send them on an aggressive push, and yet again, Ethan's bested. Everything coming up Fury here at the start of it. As you said, they need to be perfect. They can't have anything unlike this happen.
There we go, Fury. That's more like it. Yuri coming in with a kill and assist. Vinny's going to get the second one. On to Tarek. Cirque is the only NRG player to have counteracted and broken the deadlock.
Still, though, plenty of HP for them to work with here, and they're going to continue to be aggressive. Look at the positioning from Quesarado inside of lobby. It's going to be really difficult to deal with, obviously, on the side of Energy. Smoke down as well. It's going to buy them extra time. Already, Quesarado's got his eyes on it. He knows what's coming.
Cirque did wing Quesarado partially through the wall. He's down to 22. We can't afford to stay around here for much longer. Playing it really well with Fury, and there's the peak from Art. And Stanislaw can't do a great deal about this.
Really can't. You can see if we can remove some numbers at the very least. That's the most hopeful crouch down a ladder I've seen in a while, but wasn't left with too many options in that scenario.
Yeah.
So Furious do stay perfect for the time being. Great openings there from Yuri and Vinny to put them in a prime position. And you got to love the fact that Fury, they don't shy away from their natural playing style, even when they get put, you know, backs against the wall. You can still see Vinny getting the opening frags. That just sends him and Art into lobby immediately to gain more map control.
It's good to see there's still smiles too. You know, 21-19, they're up against it. Could potentially be bowing out in the upper brackets. There's still plenty of smiles across the faces. NRG have 2 more opportunities to put this best of 3 to bed. But Furia have shown time and time again, these guys have real grit, real tenacity. They will not lie down. They will fight till the bitter end.
This time, different setup, though, on the side of Furia. No aggressive peek behind any sort of smokes, because it hasn't been put down any sort of smoke wall from Energy. This is more to what we see, I guess, most teams do a lot of the time. Vinny's been so aggressive into lobby. He's going to be expecting that. They've set up in a pretty much an ideal way to counteract this, but Art, well, nobody's going to pressure him. He's going to pressure you. Find Cirque, so equal numbers once again.
Yeah, sides mean nothing. CTT, he's playing the same. He's taking the fight to you. He's going to try and catch you unaware. Smoke down from Breeze. And there's the peak, but it's into Molotov, and Breeze deals with him. So the player advantage goes back into NRG's hands. 40 seconds left, but the damage inflicted to Quesarado down to 49.
That means no early rotations down towards the lower bomb side as well. They do have one person flanking Stanislaw and Co. Maple J at the top of ramp as well.
Uh-oh.
It's a bit of a disaster. Yuri goes down 2v4.
Maple J, Quesarado, Furia need a hero. They need a huge play to come out. And it's going to be planted on the A site. They were desperately hoping it would be B, as both players were there. Quesarado shows himself. Breeze pummels him. Maple J, 1-on-4 to keep Furia in this match. Tarek just behind the boxes. The positions are so powerful. Oh, what a shot that is. Looking for a second. Flashbang down towards the site. Actually affects him more so than any of the other terrorists. He's got a grenade for his troubles. Second kill won't be coming in, and NRG will take it 2-0. It was a fantastic performance from both teams on Nuke, but in the end, NRG just slightly stronger.
Slightly stronger, but yeah, that was very much the game on its edge the entire time. Fury had plenty of opportunities to close this out, much like Energy, so they have to feel a little bit gutted about not being able to bring that into a third map, but in the end, Energy, they do what they set out to here in Berlin and secure their spot for the major. We're feeling pretty good about that. I mean, Energy are a team that have had a past of not doing too well at minors. So this is going to be a lot of weight lifted off their shoulders. Fury, though, not done quite yet. Still going to have more to play on or play for later on. That is that third place decider as well. Energy, favorites of the Americas minors. So I guess in the end there is, I guess, order restored in that sense. But what a game to close it out on.
It's a fantastic game. I mean, Train had its moments in the first half. Second half was, one they're going to want to forget pretty soon, Furia. Nuke, though, was just end-to-end, wall-to-wall aggressions, loads of force buys coming out clutch. It was a really fun game to cast.
Absolutely, start to finish. But that's going to be it for us. For now, though, we're going to toss it over to the stage where there's an interview waiting for us.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations, Stan. With this victory, you're now moving forward to that winner's final. And it's really exciting because not only do you move forward in 2-0 fashion, you guys remain undefeated, having this really smooth victory to that winner's final. So overall, what are your thoughts?
I'm just feeling confident right now. I think we came into this tournament as the best team, and we just feel like we should be winning it all. So I think we're just playing with confidence, and it's showing.
Definitely, you guys are really showcasing really great games back and forth. And I need to bring up this series against Furia because it's, interestingly enough, in the head-to-head score against Furia, Energy has always looked really, really good. And in fact, up until today, they haven't even reached double digits. But we saw on Nuke today a very different showing from Furia. So speaking for yourself, what was it like?
Yeah, their Nuke game was very good. They just caught us off guard with a lot of their pushes, and that's kind of their playstyle, which they're so good at. And once we kind of adapted and realized they were playing very aggressive, we just kind of figured it out in the end. And I'm just glad that we had the mental fortitude to bring it back because we had a good first half, but then they started clawing back on the second half, and then we had to come back again. So I'm just happy like we had the good mental fortitude.
Yeah, break it down for us because the score was 14-12 in favor of Furia, and then you guys were able to start getting that momentum back when you had that 3-5 win. So break it down for us.
Yeah, just I'm not sure if it was an eco or like a half by that we won, but yeah, as soon as we won that one round, we were feeling it again. And like I said before, we just took our time to adapt to their aggressive playstyle, and then once we figured it out, we just clawed it back to OT.
Well, talk about this past month because you've been with this team for a little bit over a month now, and there's been a lot of time both at ESL One Cologne as well as here as you're playing with the team on LAN, but of course a lot of practice as well. So what has that process been like for you?
It's been pretty stressful and tiring. Like you said, I've been on the team for about a month now, and I even flew out to France to play with them while they were still playing with Dabs in matches. So we've just been nonstop practicing and working hard because we know like this is our last tournament before the player break. So we just want to make sure that we win it, qualify for the major, and get the job done and go on vacation.
Well, what was that process like for you? Because do you come in and sort of start over from scratch, or do you take what Daps had built and sort of edit it from there, or what did you do?
I started implementing my style pretty quickly, but also, I want to make sure that they're comfortable. So they were a good team before I even joined. Daps had some really good ideas, and he got the best out of them. So I just kind of built off that, you could say, and then we're just slowly adding my style, and we're still adding fresh ideas from everyone. Everyone's contributing a lot of stuff, and as time goes on, we're just going to keep adding more and more and improving.
Well, that sounds good, and hopefully you can keep this going because you have one BO3 left, and it's going to be yet another Brazilian team in either INTZ or the Sharks. Sharks you guys faced earlier, and it was actually a really close series despite the fact that it was 2-0, so overall, what do you think?
Yeah, we've only played Brazilian teams this event somehow at an NA minor. But yeah, like you said, we played Sharks in a close series. I think we kind of didn't play too well in that series, but yeah, we're just going to do what we've been doing, preparing hard, and go back to the room and go over this Nuke game because it was a little too close for comfort. But yeah, we're just feeling confident, and tomorrow should be a good match.
Sounds great. Well, thanks as always for sharing your thoughts. And with that, Energy will be our first team moving forward to the winner's final.
North American minor. Actually, it's the Americas and 5 Brazilian teams in attendance. I'm probably not surprised you're playing a lot of them. What a game. I mean, 2-0, sure, but Nuke has got us, smiling. That was some wonderful Counter-Strike to enjoy.
I mean, that game could get flipped on its head. There's so many rounds there in OT coming towards the end. It's funny. There was no ecos in the OT, so we didn't get to see it. But when it was like from 11-11, I think we saw 4 or 5 ecos that went back and forth. And from there, it's kind of like there's so much. It has so much more to do with pressure than it has to do with strategy.
Yeah.
The strats are simple.
I heard Robin saying this is experience now. So you had a similar sentiment.
No, we see the highlights, and I actually think
cool.
that absolutely. I actually think that Furia had a really good game plan coming into this, to Nuke. But as you're saying, I think it comes down to experience at the end of it. Energy, even though you look at Energy is top 5, currently Furia is top 7, but Energy, if you look at the players they have, they've been around the block. When it comes to these overtimes and stuff like that, they're not quite maybe as phased, and like we saw some at the later stages of this game. Unfortunately, I think Furia, in a sense, kind of like you did start seeing some of these nerves, like maybe a little over peaking, like this 1-on-2 when the Energy players, I can't remember who it was, they both had 10 HP basically.
Yeah,
the 2v2, and it's just like pretty poor positioning overall, and you're not really talking to one another, and you lose that round, and all of a sudden it's just like this bad trajectory into you learn into the slump, and then you have this. It's funny because then we talk about the experience. There's like this hero round that I'm sure we're gonna see on a replay when Vinny is down on a lower ramp and he gets this 3 kill with the SG, and it's just it's beautiful, right? It's just completely turns the game around. Vinny, honestly, on the first half did not have a good performance, didn't really show up, but then in the later stages he actually did wake up, and he had massive impact inside on the CT side, on the upper bomb side, on the hut, kept on getting the 2 kills. Then the same thing lower there as well. So I think he was a big part in this as well for Fury even making this somewhat competitive.
NRG lost this round. It looked so easy for Furia to win some of those kind of half buys. I guess there is still room for improvement with NRG in terms of that.
Well, that's what we see. And then as soon as the replay package starts here, you're going to see the opposite happen. That was an important round for Furia. Ethan comes close to winning this 1v4, and then NRG pick up an eco round following this. They rush. It's Furia to try to stop them inside. They can't do that. I don't know. I think Robin, picked up on a couple of things. That's like, here are 2 key mistakes. There was one round they ran 2 in heaven. They didn't clear something like where Breeze had gotten a kill.
Here's what I'm talking about Vinny here as well. Again and again, we see this, especially on the later side of that CT half. Like Vinny just kept on getting those good positionings of getting those kills.
Like just on top of Hut, there was very, very rare opportunities where he did get caught out. This is another example. Here's probably another double kill. I wouldn't be surprised yet. No trade from Breeze. That's clearly the game plan. Didn't quite materialize in the same fashion, and we did end up in overtime. I mean, this could have been a 3rd map in regulation. I mean, Furia definitely had the opportunity.
Easily. Yeah, they could have made this a 15-11 or 16-11 scoreline and then end up going to OT. Credit to NRG. They made it as hard as possible. It's unreal, some of the rounds that we saw. And honestly, you'd think they'd be more frustrated. There was a round late into the OT, in the second OT, where Vinny's he's got the fucking... Sorry, oh my god.
You.
Oh, wow. He's got the 2... he's got the...
Dear, this is it.
He's got the end-to-end grin after they lose in one of those frustrating rounds. It was shocking how they stayed composed. And I will say, I really don't feel like nerves played a factor. They honestly... Furia, one of the teams, you look to them, they always seem so composed, so calm. Coach is the one carrying all the emotions, but the inexperience might have been the thing to catch up to them.
But it's a little bit of both, right? That's what I'm saying. Inexperience equals nerves in some cases, right? Of you second guess yourself maybe a little bit too much. Maybe it's an extra call you don't miss doing.
But they're still pushing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? This is so funny, in the sense of they are still pushing because again, if you're the coach of this team and you notice that your players are just becoming timid, all of a sudden now you're not the same team that you are, right? So even if you're nervous, you still have to play the way you're supposed to be playing. But then it's small little tendencies that maybe you're forgetting about because of nerves or whether or not that might not be, right?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure we make it really clear with the brackets up on your screens that you do have to win 1 more best of 3 if you're NRG in order to proceed to the next stage of play, the new challenger stage. They are 1 away from it, and the same will be said for the winner of INTZ Sharks. Why should our viewers stick around, Robin? Why should they stick around to see INTZ and Sharks?
Both of these actually, it was super fun. So INTZ, the day number 1 versus Furia, had a really good approach on their overpass. It looked a little bit, we talked about it a lot on Raw, was it just a straight counter versus Furia, and they did end end up losing another overpass. I think it was versus Luminosity. They've been playing really good, like extremely well. I think that out of all the South American teams we've seen so far, they've been the ones that's looked the most solid to me. They came out of the groups, you know, didn't
Winner's
lose.
side, yeah.
Exactly. And then Sharks, for me, I think Sharks we haven't really seen on this stream all too much because they were on the B stream a lot, but they won their first game and then they ended up losing out versus Energy, right?
Yeah, and as you
again,
brought up, that was 2-0 but close.
exactly. That was also very close. Right? Also a map on Nuke.
Also, there's going to be screaming every round.
That's true. It's going to be
Every round.
fiery.
It doesn't matter who wins, there's going to be a ton of screaming.
this is the two most vocal
This
teams
is the loudest LAN in the calendar,
Yeah.
and the loudest minor of
And with
the
two
LAN.
of the loudest teams. So
Exactly.
prepare yourself. We'll make sure we get the mics up and we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. But when we do come back, it is going to be INTZ versus Sharks. It's our final best of 3 of the Americas minor today. Of course, Europe coming up later. We're going to take 5 when we come back and we'll jump into INTZ Sharks.
Change of range.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.bet.
Probably certain that they'll win the rest of the game as well. Maybe if they buy a game, so I think that they should just go for it.
Predict the outcome. Win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.
I think the most important thing is the time, because we started to play a loose style and it doesn't work for us in the beginning, so we started to play more structured, and we don't have good results in online matches and even in DreamHack Hill. So, but we are improving because we need time and we need players know each other and play a lot of different styles, more structured and more loose. And I think we are reaching that goal. So I think we need a little more time, but we can go through the major with this. The hardest part is to know what to do with the shuffles, because we have MIBR and now we have Furia and we have Luminosity. Luminosity is an international organization and INTZ is a Brazilian organization, so it's not easy. So I think the most difficult thing is to stay with the team together and don't change the players. And the second thing for sure is to work with different personalities. It's hard because you need to put all together, all in the same direction, so sometimes it's hard, but it's good.
Now that is an interesting conversation started by the loudest man in Berlin. It is the coach of INTZ. He's a scary, scary roar. He has just, I think it's something in his diaphragm. He can just, it's like a megaphone.
I feel like, it's like Jack in the Beanstalk. He's the giant, everybody else is just a peon in the world, right?
Yeah, but perhaps Sharks are going to be the Jack in that story, in that fable. I'm joined by Launders and for Flaren, I'm Machine, and haven't got the most time to cover this, and this is an important game to cover. What's like the kind of the cliff notes of this matchup? What would you say, Launders?
Sharks beat Singularity. They actually beat them 2-1 in the best of 3. They beat them once before that. Singularity had high hopes for them. So I think those are two big scalps. And INTZ finished or started out of winners and took down Furia to start things off.
Yep.
Looks strong at the beginning of this minor. It's a domestic matchup. It's going to be very loud.
Yeah.
There's not a bad reason to watch.
And I also love the comment. We've heard it from Furia. We hear it again from INTZ, is that we want to stick together with these players. The roster fear, because of so much South American presence in competitive Counter-Strike now, you can get poached. And we've seen examples of it. Both of these, though, Furia and INTZ seem to have a similar sentiment. We're already into the vetoes. Mirage picked up.
Chance Vertigo gets left, maybe?
Floated for
and
first.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. If Vertigo gets left now, it should be banned here. Like, it was one of the maps that actually I think Sharks ended up losing versus Singularity yesterday.
50-50 between that
INTZ
and what?
can
And
choose.
Dust 2?
Yeah.
Okay, Dust 2.
Surely.
They should.
Surely. Would you want a Vertigo decider? You probably don't.
Yeah,
you probably don't. Dust 2.
I try to jinx it, you know?
For one way or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can't be.
Surely.
Dust 2 will be our third. So Mirage nuked Dust 2 the map pool. Previously, we saw them play for the qualifier for this minor, which we did see. I believe it was Sharks win. Yeah, Sharks won 2-0. Train and Nuke were the maps.
Oh, interesting. Like, coming into this one, even looking how both of these teams have been playing this week, I would have probably favored INTZ just based on how I feel like both of these teams have been performing. Like, don't get me wrong, the last game that we had INTZ play was versus Luminosity. It's a little bit of a mix, you know, they have a new player in Phelps and they have a different caller. But that series was actually pretty good. Yeah, it was close. It was a close scoreline. But one of the blunders, and we're not going to see that here, you know, one of the maps that was played versus Luminosity was Train, and they got completely stumped on that one.
And you say you think INTZ should have the heads up. They'd certainly do it in our bookkeeper sponsors odds. You can see them now on the screen. It's brought to you by GGBet, one of our betting partners, as well as, of course, the seats that the players are sitting on. They've taken to theirs, and it is Secret Lab. You can sit like the pros and feel like the pros if you fancy. And of course, Strafe, you can see the votes have been cast in INTZ, not only in the bookkeepers, but also in the fan vote. It does look like they've got a significant advantage versus the Sharks, which have, admittedly, managed to make NRG sweat. We just heard from Stanislaw. He said they played really well. And Inferno and Nuke were the maps.
It's been a round after round of surprises.
Yeah.
It started off with 2 upsets. I'm not sure what happened in the European minor, but you know, even Mouseport's going down. It's pretty much been the upside down for a lot of these teams. And I guess one last thing, I'm sure we're about to fly into the game. If anybody's curious, KNG is still the same old self.
Right.
Absolutely,
He was insane, man.
Yeah, and just looking at that as well, you just players to look out for as well. Cello is one of them. He's the best performing player on this on the server, playing from INTC. We also have Exit and Leo on the Shark side, also been playing really well.
Leo Drunky.
Leo has been lighting it up.
Yeah.
I was looking at his name and I was like, who is this guy? And you all turned to me like, no, he's nuts, dude. He's nuts. So keep our eyes on him. KNG, though, I mean, what a storyline. I mean, Counter-Strike Counter-Strike, we're no strangers to drama. KNG, what a prospect, what a talent, raw talent we got to see kind of, squandered at times. Now here, one step away from getting himself to the next stage of the major.
And with Sharks, they played at the last Lisbon, and they were one of the Iberian teams to qualify through. They actually beat Movie Star Riders to qualify for the tournament.
Right.
And then I casted every single one of the games. They actually played really well, and Leo was quite consistent versus teams they've never even touched before, never even gotten to see and meet in person. So high hopes for them. And I'm sure INTZ are going to take them very seriously. Their issue, I think INTZ specifically, has always been map pool, but we've seen them come through with some sleeper picks at this tournament, Overpass, for example, and we don't know where else they've practiced stuff that they haven't shown that's available on HLTV.
No, that's a good point, actually, because coming into the tournament, INTZ actually on Overpass, they had a 25% win rate. They played Overpass twice this event, won both of them.
Interesting.
Versus Furia and Luminosity. So, they've definitely been working on it. Like you're saying, I think they come into it. Before this, we thought maybe just 5 strong maps, which isn't really ideal. You kind of want that 6th. But then working on the Overpass and now having that option to just get rid of Vertigo if you want to, it actually really opens up a lot of the cases when you do play a domestic matchup like this of really going through well, we just know how they like to play on this map, so maybe we just opt for this.
That Dust 2 third map decider, I'm looking at Shark statistics, and of course you have just given us fantastic examples of why the stats don't mean everything. But I think they have a 25% win rate on Dust 2, and that's against, lesser known teams, the likes of your Winstrikes, your AGOs, you may know, but Unique, Icarus, those are still losses.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is I think for the veto, I feel like you have INTZ have favor on both maps 1 and 3.
Okay.
On Nuke, I think Sharks could pick it up, but that won't necessarily mean that after that 1-1 that there's a chance for them on Dust 2.
Yeah. No, we're sure, we're going to be talking about Nuke later, but you're right. I actually do think, based on even what Hugo and Harry were saying...
INTZ versus Sharks. One of these will keep their head above water.
Nice, I like it. Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, indeed. INTZ, we had the pleasure of casting these guys quite a few times, Vendetta, but we haven't had the privilege of casting Sharks. So I'm very curious. Hugo and Harry were really singing their praises to us in the green room, and now it's time to see what they can do on the CT side.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see an old head in the server. And Knack, see very storied players for who don't know, was a part of the golden generation really of MIBR back in the day, together with FNX and Kogu and the likes. Yellow's going to be the one to find an opening here on the side of INTZ.
Yeah, very aggressive by JNT. He's going to be giving away a USP and the first kill of the round, leaving RCF by himself on B site. Not going to be thanking his teammate for that one. Bomb still at spawn though, Ven, so I don't think we're going to have any shenanigans on B just yet. RCF maybe pushing into his demise though. Slightly moving out of position, Cello. I think cost him that kill.
Cello not diving deep though. Doesn't want to necessarily risk everything as they set up for the A-take here. The remaining players, Knack still heading out or posted up over by Ticket Booth. Not going to line a kill just yet. It's also backed up by Leo.
Oh, Leo, you've got to land this kill. You've got to land the kill. He's whiffed so hard. Does get it on the last bullet. But he could have really accelerated the retake for Sharks. How do you have landed that cleanly? RCF, no whiff about that. Insta headshot onto KNG. Zand at the top of Palace going to be falling very much the same way. RCF is lining it up with the USP, but he's all alone. Needs 2 more frags. 20 seconds. He could just stall this out into a very scary position for INTZ, but Destiny is going to give them the first round.
There we go. And the shouting's back. For those who haven't been able to catch the earlier games of INTZ, they're a very vocal team, to say the very least, led by Coach Apoka.
Yeah, he had some memes about him because of how passionate and into the game he gets. He's the most passionate out of the 5 of them.
Yeah, no,
out of the 6
definitely
of them,
is.
pardon me.
I mean, he kind of has the luxury of not necessarily trying to remain calm or in focus in that sense, or as much as the players do, obviously, so he can release his emotions a little bit more freely. But no, it's great to see, and you love to see people having passion for the game as well. He's definitely not short of that.
No, certainly not. And neither are any of the Brazilian teams, to be honest. They have typically been the loudest. I think Singularity may have them beat.
Yeah,
we could hear some interesting things from
had them beat. Shouting, not so much in the server.
Yeah,
Sharks managed to topple them yesterday 2-1.
We're hearing some pretty colourful things yesterday from the Singularity boys.
Yeah.
It was
I'll be
pretty
honest,
cool.
though. I kind of miss those days.
I do too.
Obviously, now you have the teams playing in the same room, kind of across each other. So you're able to throw a couple of words back and forth with each other. I just think it just adds to the competition. And I mean, it's part of the game as well, right? They just being able to handle, an absolute wild man on the other side of the room, just throwing words at you. I think that's something that players kind of need to be able to deal with as well. You need to be able to brush it off and kind of laugh at it, not get affected by it. If somebody keeps calling you, trash or something like that, and you keep dying to them, then maybe it sticks. Maybe it actually gets into your mentality, and you drop a little bit in confidence, and that actually gives the opponent an edge.
It certainly adds to the atmosphere. And going back a long time when I was playing, not CS, but COD, you'd be directly opposite of people, and there'd be some hands thrown. I'm not going to lie. It didn't just stay verbal. Sometimes it got physical. I'm not advocating for that, obviously, but here we go anyway. INTZ and Sharks going to be kicking it off into the second round after a brief pause, and Sharks have decided to invest absolutely nothing at full USPs.
So it should be a rather straightforward round for INTZ at the very least. Max going to run into his death as he avoids the Molotov. Sees if he can find Zand unawares, but not the case. And again, bomb site 8 being taken by the T side.
This is a bit of an awkward position for Zand with a Mach 10. That kind of range, you're not expecting to get any kills, but does find some information. Nade goes out, does considerable damage to RCF and exit. With the bomb plant on top of it, this round is gone. It's done. INTZ going to be taking a 2-0 lead. Question is, can they get any more kills? And no, KNG just smattering down with the Galil. This is where the extra 5 bullets over the AK actually come in handy.
Yeah, does pan out. I'm actually not. Yeah, I think the Galil is, I guess, somewhat underrated. Obviously, it's kind of hard to live up to its big brother in the AK. But if I had to choose between the Galil and FAMAS, I'll go with the Galil any day of the week. So far, so good for INTZ. And keep in mind, these two teams played each other in the Americas minor for South America leading up to this. And Sharks actually got the better of them in that best-of-3 series, winning 2-0. But I feel like we've seen a different INTZ. Again, we talked about it the first time we got to see them on day one, the fact that they haven't really had the results that you'd imagine a team with these players on it would have. But being able to topple Furia, again, they've definitely been playing a lot better Counter-Strike in this tournament than we've seen for quite some time, especially KNG obviously coming back into the limelight.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of KNG, it was this map where he landed his crazy highlight reel-worthy stuff with the AWP.
Yeah.
Earlier in this very tournament, so we know he has it up his sleeve. We know he can perform and he can dip in cello. Let's had a couple of very big maps too. JNT tries to hold off the onslaught, but can only get the one. Although, the CTs are putting themselves back into proximity. I've been swept away from KNG with his AK-47. He's down to just 16 health. This is possible for Leo.
Yeah, especially because Zand has not been, well, I was about to say hasn't been able to pick up a weapon, but there he goes. Swaps out the Mach 10 for an M4. That makes it considerably harder for Leo. Does have another Molotov to his name as well. Throw that into apps. Going to find KNG. Oh, so close. Just millimeters away from finding that kill. Zand, though, takes the opportunity to wide swing and finds a third round on the board for INTZ. So great start for KNG's team. Yeah, you mentioned Cello. He's had some really, really solid performances here so far, especially with entry fragging. I mean, last time we saw them play Mirage, he was vital for INTZ to actually be able to close it out, because one thing they've had an issue with is actually getting off to hot starts. They've oftentimes been reeling behind, whether it's 12-7, 13-6, and so on. They've always had to fight back, and I mean, to their credit, they've been able to do it more often than not. But a lot of the time, it's been off of the back of Cello's entry fragging.
I think it was Train where he landed 26 kills, but he had something like 8 or 9 entry frags. And that was the game that really, I mean, I already knew he was a damn good player, but that was really what turned my head and thought, okay, INTZ, they can go pretty far in this tournament. If not, they can maybe even qualify.
Absolutely, because keep in mind, when Cello was brought into the old Luminosity lineup, he was touted as, the new hot Brazilian talent that everyone needed to keep their eye on out. And it didn't really pan out for him. He didn't really find his groove. in that lineup and didn't really live up to the expectations. But so far in this minors, he's been doing really well for himself. Right now, sitting at 4-1 as well. I think he spotted Leo actually dropping off there. Saw his shoulder. Not going to continue on with it though. INTZ are just hanging out. Might actually be a bit of a pause hanging out, coming out considering
technical issue.
Yeah.
You see a couple of players just standing around with knives. At that point, it was pretty apparent what's happening. We did see like a small pause earlier after the first round, and I was wondering if that would be a reoccurring theme. It seems as though one of the INTZ PCs has had a bit of an issue, a malfunction perhaps.
Bit of a snafu. I think it's Sand's PC that's not cooperating with him.
Yeah.
It is the same player, obviously, than as the first time around. So I guess that's an upside. It's not just like issues all around the board. Hopefully, nothing too serious.
Well, he's still on the server at least. You can see from his PC, so that's good news. Maybe a bit of a sound issue. It does seem to be the most common problem at LANs.
It's a classic. Whether it's TeamSpeak or headsets, microphones, you name it. I might have to do some relogging here. See what it pans out to. But at least the technical issues didn't prevent him from actually closing out that round. Putting INTZ off to a great start for the first time in quite a while, really, in this major. They've always had to battle back.
Yeah, a team that's very good, though, at coming back into games from behind. You know, they saw it a couple of times when they had 5 or 6 round deficit, and they managed to just bulldoze their way back in.
Yeah, there is something to be said for that Brazilian C, right?
Yeah.
MIBR, or I guess then SK/Luminosity, were the one to coin that term. Or had that coined term to them.
Was it yesterday where Sharks played Singularity on the B stream?
Yes, that's when we heard all the shouting.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the amount of shouting between the two teams, it was like, it really spurred on Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also, you know, you always talk about this with emotional players, right? What it does for you in terms of getting hype when you're winning rounds, which is great. But the downside of it, obviously, when you have to take a couple of losses, a couple of punches to the face, how you go completely silent. And we see that happening, actually, with a fair few teams. Some people not able to deal with it as well as others. But hopefully Sharks are going to be okay. They managed to withstand the shouting match versus Singularity to get them to this point. And I think all we're waiting for right now is a bit of a reboot of the PC.
Yep, apparently it's going to take just about a minute.
Yeah.
So it should be back into the game very shortly to see if Sharks can bounce back after that 3-0. Of course, you assume that the round is going to be restarted. We're going to be back at the 3-0 scoreline again. It's
going to be, another eco for Sharks. So most likely looking at a 4-0 score. Will be cool to see. And again, one of the things that for those who've kept an eye on Brazilian CS is the kind of makeup of the teams, how they actually structure them. And you'll see in a lot of different regions that, you know, the older guard of certain countries, just when they retire, they disappear from Counter-Strike completely. They don't really pass on that knowledge to everyone else. They leave it as it is and kind of just hang up the mouse and don't come back. That's not the case for a lot of these Brazilian sides. You have obviously Team 1 with Bit in it, and Sharks here with Knack on the board. They also have Chucky, like all of these ex-MIBR players or Fire Gamer players who were really like competing at the highest international level back in 1.6, playing with basically the youth, the new generation of Counter-Strike players from Brazil, to pass on that knowledge, which I think is really, really cool. And I wish that was the case in more regions.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you have Taz doing that for Poland at the moment.
Yeah, that is very true. And who knows, maybe Pasha comes back as well. There is some rumblings about that. But definitely cool to see them passing on all the experience that they've gained over the years. Because Knack, I mean, he's been going at it since way back when. So it's definitely a valuable player to have on your side to kind of teach these players how to become professionals and also play Counter-Strike the most efficient way possible.
In terms of this matchup, we are back live again. Pistols for Sharks. Minimal investment, really, considering that they have some round loss bonus starting to accrue. And, of course, they're going to have rifles going through into the next one. But can INTZ avoid another half-buy disaster? We've seen many of them at the minors thus far.
Oh, and actually, that heavy lean towards A is going to fade away at the just the wrong time. INTZ make their way towards A once more. It's only JNT, and he's going to get caught out very early on. So no real resistance being met here for INTZ. They're going to get a bomb plant down pretty easily. Also looking to make some extra cash here with that MAC-10 on Zan. Doing a pretty damn good job of it. Nack's going to get a return at the very least. So no more hefty money building. That's going to continue for INTZ.
Yeah, it's a consolation kill. Leo wants to save his Kevlar more so than the P250. He's going to upgrade that going into the next round. Well, not necessarily upgrade it, but he's going to have a better weapon to play with at the very least.
Yep. Cheeky Kevlar for an easy upgrade. All that good stuff. Then we can kind of get the game rolling. Obviously, these first couple of rounds become a bit of a formality once the force buy doesn't pan out, or the first buy round for that matter. Let's see, though. What kind of defense Sharks can actually set up? I do like the fact that they're still waiting for the bomb to explode before they start celebrating, as if there was any doubt.
Yeah, don't take your eyes off the prize. Don't assume anything in this game.
It's very true. We've seen some couple of crazy turnarounds, yeah. I mean, just going back to the previous nuke game between Fury and Energy, there was so much back and forth there. You had a 1v4 from Ethan that nearly panned out and all that stuff, and rounds that I guess might be a given to most can definitely swing back.
All right, well, here we go, though. The reason for the half-buy AWP for JNT, everyone else with M4s. Interestingly, no one opting to go for the AUG. We have seen many teams still go with the scope weapon. And no SGs on INTZ.
Want to hold on to the weapons that they managed to keep during the initial buys. I've definitely seen some of the players here pick up SGs across the earlier games. But for now, it's a bit of a static setup. They've managed to get Destiny far up in connector. So that can either work as a quick lurk or a potential pressure point. Instead, it's going to get taken down. That's a nice flash from Knack to set up exit. Drunky's also going to down KNG over on Catwalk. So numbers thinning pretty rapidly here for INTZ.
They're eroding away, but Cello is going to start to bounce back before he is found by RCF. A close angle on bench. INTZ got Yell with an AWP. 45 seconds, though. He's thinking about potentially saving this. He's at least going to post himself in a position where he can do some damage on his way out. After all, his team are 4-0 to the good. So they've had a fantastic start to things. A side is pretty barren, though. You really only have Exit is watching from jungle. So if Yell can rummage your way through...
I don't think even Exit's... Yeah, Exit's outside of CPL. So A side is completely open, actually.
Oh, I thought it was jungle. That's even worse.
Yeah, this is a bit of a oopsie.
Yeah, Yell's going to get a plant.
Do they think they have the bomb?
I mean, if Yell can get a plant and reposition with his AWP, this round is actually still open. Sure, it's not likely, but considering it was a 4v1, you just assume it's done. You assume it's a closed deal. Yell's going to get the first onto Knack, who peaks prematurely. The rest of his team now are going to be starting to rummage together, but they're all coming from the same side. They're all coming from CT. That Molotov isn't going to deter Yell too much. Out into the opening he'll go. He lands a second. But when you consider it was a 4v1, he's got 2 kills and a bomb plant. That is a huge result for INTZ.
Absolutely. Hits that magic number of 3 deaths on the TD side. That's going to definitely impact their economy, as they're going to have to reinvest. Somebody's going to have to take a bit of a hit there. I mean, yeah, sure, you can be happy about winning the round if you're Sharks. You're finally on the board, but that was not as clean as it should have been. And yeah, the 3 players over towards the B bomb site, no control over your bomb. That seemed a little bit weird.
You've got to question the communication or the idea there. Did they assume maybe the bomb was dropped on B? That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, exactly. I think they would have had to assume that Leo's initial kill on KNG or something dropped the bomb in a position where they thought it had it secured, but not to be the case. So INTZ get pretty much maximum value out of what was a guaranteed loss in that round.
And you can see what it does to Shock's funds as well.
Yeah.
Only Donkey? Nope, that's Drunky. Leo Drunky is on over $1,000.
Yeah, they're also running out of utility rather quickly. They have 3 smokes and a Molotov with 1 minute 20 left to go. So obviously, one thing is holding off an initial push and execute from INTZ, but also being able to set up for a potential retake is going to be that much harder. See what they can come up with, though. This time they do have players on A, so that's a start. Speaking of Yell as well, as we saw attempting to clutch out that previous round, he had a really, really strong Mirage performance last time around we saw him. And he can be very hit or miss. He's kind of reformed himself from being a primary opper into becoming a rifler. Obviously, that kind of makes sense when you have KNG in your team.
Did see the Molotov toss down, so he knows this isn't a fake. They're actually engaging behind this. There's not much he can do about it, though. His teammates are being plucked out on the side. There's 30 seconds left, more than enough time for the bomb plant. RCF was flirting with the idea of wall banging the planter down, but it's not going to happen. And now Leo, in the embracing arms of Zand, has been shuffled off round 6. It's only exit, and he's going to look to save. And this is where that previous round with Yell taking down 2 players and getting the bomb plant will hurt Sharks a great deal. They just don't have money.
Absolutely. I actually thought that RCF saw the foot of the bomb plant there on the T side behind fireboxes, but didn't react accordingly. So INTZ get a 5th round on the board. Nice and easy going for them so far. Not looking to end up far behind to start us off, getting off to a strong start. While it's nice to have resiliency, you do like to have efficiency too. So being able to close this out as quickly as possible. It is their map pick after all. It's definitely going to do a lot for your confidence going into Nuke as the second map. See the updated odds from GG.bet. Favoring INTZ here. I don't think that's can be like a big surprise really to anyone.
I think most people coming into this game, I certainly was favoring INTZ to win this game after we saw how close they took and even beat some of the more favored teams earlier on in the
started off the tournament sending Furia down into into the lower bracket. And that's why we saw that matchup between Furia and Energy just now. So, yeah, the top level of these players definitely high. Definitely there to match their fellow countrymen. We'll see how long they can keep it up, though. 5-1 so far, so doing good for themselves. And Sharks, a little bit worse for wear. They're still going to buy up something into this. Knack with a UMP. And obviously had the saved weapon on exit.
I can respect that they didn't fully push the panic button, though, and go for a force spy, because that really could have ruined this off.
Absolutely. INTZ right now. I kind of like that. I mean, with, okay, bit of a botched Molotov, but for how much success they found in the A bomb site, they're just kind of sticking to the idea of, well, it's working, so there's no real reason for us to change things up too drastically. Again, cover your bases. Make sure you're not getting backstabbed, that there's just any funky aggression coming out from the side of the CTs to catch you off, but go back to what's been working in the past and basically force the CT side to actually do something to you.
Well, JNT may go for an aggressive retaliation after the Molotov starts to burn his toes off, but he decides to drop down instead. Grenade lands buy-in. Doesn't really do any damage, though. He's 66. Still more than enough HP to deal a fatal blow with that P250. Time is dwindling away. Still 3/4 of a minute to play with. Now, Knack is holding on. INTZ going to need to get a move on. They are moving through connector.
And it's completely exposed as well. KNG, well, gets 2 for 1. Fortunately, one of them is his teammate, but still, favorable trades all around there. So A-Site once again in the control of INTZ. If you got to kickstart something, you know, got to do what it takes, and KNG willing to sacrifice Yell in that one. Leo's going to find one response, though, and Exit actually finds a pushing Destiny. Really wanted to get map control. He wanted to wrap around CT spawn. That's not going to be working out for him. They still have decent after plant position here, and it is an open plant as well. No smokes on the side of Sharks either.
With Zand being low HP, this round really should be going the way of Sharks. Xander's got one. Can he stop the defuse? It's not looking good. Comes back out again. And Sharks going to get the defuse. They're letting them know about it too. Screaming at INTZ, saying we're still in this game.
Most definitely are, and that was a round that they didn't really have too much of a business picking up as well. You could see that their defense was not set up to deal with what was thrown at them. Again, connector control being completely given up for them. Just a very solid job to handle the retake in a proper fashion. Exit with multiple kills there to bring them back into it. And that's it's quite the gift to be given, and that's going to allow them to go directly into a double op setup as well. JNT, RCF. They're just going to make it work right off the bat as well. Opening frag in favor of Sharks. Already more pressure put on them, or on the side of INTZ than they've met previously. They've been able to rummage around the map pretty freely for the better part of this so far.
There's a world of good to Sharks as well, because now they can back away. INTZ, the pressure is mounting. It is stacking. They have KNG still with the AWP, however. There's a big power play, a big part of the puzzle that still is in their possession.
And you say back away, and they went really, really passive on the side of Sharks, just completely giving up mid control, not even interested in contesting it. But RCF with the forward position in B-apps is going to find Cello peering up from the underpass stairs. Two-man advantage, and nothing really gained from INTZ. Right now, all you have is KNG rummaging around in mid. Nobody's really opening up and giving it a potential to find an op duel.
Smoke has been deployed though, Ven, just outside of the apps. It's going to stop Zand and Yell from pushing through just yet. In actual fact, they're going to be taking the fight to them. Smoke's going to deploy, but Leo Drunky stands up and delivers one. KNG, though, is putting them back into this round, putting them back into the possibility of maybe getting a 6-2 lead. JNT.
I think he was spotted jumping past by KNG there. KNG's going to hold the window, wins out the duel as well. Why not? Get a leg shot in there as well. Yell's been taken down. Most it's all on KNG.
Oh, KNG with another one. He's already got 3 in this round. Can't quite get a 4th on the first time of asking. X around the corner, and there's the no-scope. And wouldn't you know it, KNG stands up, screams directly at them. What a round from the man. That is unbelievable.
And that's off the back of a two-man deficit as well. Just being able to willpower his team through to a victory in that one. And for all the screaming Sharks were doing in the last round, they have to feel a little bit deflated after that. Both ops getting into play early on. Leo actually finding a frag here as well. Just dire straits for INTZ at a certain point, but then KNG works his magic. I kind of dig the fact that the shot he throws off there, I think that's to basically have Exit just instantly react, right? Just like have him go off, try to think that, oh, like, he's actually pressuring me from an angle. I need to kind of readjust whatever I'm doing.
The whole purpose of that shot, I feel, is to try and dictate the pace, take control of the clutch.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, he's playing on the back foot. By doing that, it allows him to now reposition to change the dynamic of how it's going. It's really cool.
I mean, Exit keeps thinking that KNG is widely re-peeking from angles that he's not aware of, right? Which makes you uncertain of how you're going to actually approach the situation. KNG, accurate as ever. Hasn't dropped the ball at all. INTZ back towards A we go. It's working pretty nicely for them so far, and they're going up against a bit of a mishmash by MP9 on JNT, and very little utility just in general, but it's going to make the most out of it. Knack follows up with a kill too. So far, even trades.
INTZ, well, using your utility. What's going on here? We've got Molotovs and nades, like a bunch just dropped with those 2 kills. Now they're going to start to deploy them, but it was all raw. It was easy pickings for Knack.
Trying to catch him off guard. Didn't really pan out. Still, trades going back and forth. Cello not being able to control his spray. Leaves KNG. Well, just clutch out one. Just this time he's on 12 HP, though. Might be a little bit of a tall order. And Leo from stairs is going to finish him off. And yeah, as you said.
I just don't understand it. Like, there's Molotovs you can toss to deal with Shadow. There's flashes you can deal with. And they just go out without using any of all these nades they've just purchased.
And normally you see that kind of a play being made when, again, you want to catch the defense off guard, obviously. That is the intent of it, but that's more of a desperation play, right? When you maybe just have 1 or 2 rifles, you 4-spot into it, you need them to get a bit of a drop on the opponents instead of telegraphing and execute. I think in this scenario where they find themselves there's no real justification for not throwing out your nades.
Yeah, it's like more of a desperation play, like we're seeing right now. This makes more sense. As Molotov's down, the smoke, though, is not planted anywhere near quick enough. And so Cello pretty much burns from 100 to 0. That's stalled the push. That is a big hand in the face of INTZ, and they are just going to have to turn tail and try somewhere else.
Yeah. Didn't really help that Cello bungled up the first flash as well. That's meant to land just outside of the window. Stuck in a Molotov, and yeah, everything just kind of falls apart. So B rush out of the question now. They go back to A with the majority of their forces. But with pistols, that's going to be a tough ask of them to win out these duels. Also, 3 players on Sharks rotated over, so they've got a good idea as to what's about to hit them. KNG is actually going to be the one to start off the pressure point towards B, or if he's just going to be the late lurk and them hoping to get down an open bomb plant or something to that effect. Actually, the bomb is rotating out of apps here.
And you can see that KNG at the moment is just outside of B apps. Okay, he's actually moving into ramp. I was curious if he's going to go all the way towards B.
It looked like that for a little bit, but KNG is going to be the one to start the pressure, seeing if he can draw any sort of a rotation. He drops down, that's going to be heard. It's probably not, well, he is going to expect the peak from, or the position from bench. No rotation has happened. Knack deals swiftly with the players coming from A-Pit. And that's another round on the board for Sharks. So getting back into it gradually.
Yeah, well played by Knack. You can see the domino effect it has. If he dies after that first kill, the second player that's aiming at Palace is probably aiming at ramp, and they could have got another kill in return. So Knack with that double kill was pretty huge. Molotov frag, as you could see there, as he dropped out of the app side. INTZ going to be pretty much naked in this round. Just P250s, 3 of them. Exit may be taking the fight to them, although Mid's not really being pressed just yet. Cello's going to be taking the brunt of that damage. It's such a low investment, though. Sharks not only need to get this round, but they need to get it convincingly. Build up that economy a little bit more. Batter down INTZ. That's more like it.
Battering down. Down they do. Destiny might be within a chance of finding one, but that's not to be the case, and Yell gets picked off on the A-bomb site. So no sneaky plant happening for INTZ either. Sharks right back into it.
Interestingly, certainly quieter than INTZ. INTZ are pretty much cheering and screaming after every single round. A bit subdued.
It seems like Sharks are kind of just, you know, biding their time in that sense. When they know they pick up a big round, we see a lot of screaming, but rounds they're meant to win. Not exciting as much as we have a tactical pause from INTZ.
Things have stalled somewhat on the INTZ side. Gonna have to dip back into the tactics. You can see Apoca just talking to them at the back there, the coach. Gonna drill into the troops what's going to be coming up next. He always seems to be writing notes, and he's got a very intense look to him as well. So here we go. INTZ going to have a buy, including an SG. Make that 2. Like a little and a couple of AKs. Plenty of grenades to execute on either site.
Oh, let's see, though, if they can stop the comeback here from Sharks. Already, though, 6 rounds on the T side. Not a bad feat by any means. Early days of Mirage.
I mean, you'd have to say that INTZ on their choice of map have certainly got off to a good start here, but the timeout called just to make sure that continues to be the case. They don't want to let this one slip away.
Yeah.
Leo Drunky, actually the only B defender.
Could be a pretty significant issue, especially when you look at how long the rotation times are here. Do have RCF in ladder room, but again, he has to swing around the corner as well to be able to help. He does actually get into position in time. KNG, though, is going to get the better of Leo, and smoke has gone down. Does find KNG through the smoke, so that is a bit of a chance. Bomb should still go down, though.
Yeah, the issue for RCF is he got smoked out, so even though he was there, he couldn't really lend a helping hand. He was basically blinded. JNT going to be coming through. A bunch of smokes are being deployed on both teams, but it's going the way of INTZ. The magic of the timeout once again is going to be favoring them. Knack the only player to put any pressure on INTZ with a kill.
It might be too late, though. And again, Sharks, they, I guess, didn't go greedy necessarily, but then decide to up their weapons. You can see JNT still working that FAMAS with 6.3k. So they're still going to be able to buy up in for the next round. Just looking to do as much damage as possible, and they do a pretty damn good job of it as well. Yell being the sole survivor When the round comes to a close, but still another round for INTZ. That's 7th on the board.
Yeah, converting the opportunities that they were given. Well, not really necessarily given, actually. They created. They did a good job of getting outside of apps as fast as possible. It got a bit hairy towards the end with a couple of very nice shots from the likes of Nak, who's been performing well. And they're going to go back to the double up setup, Sharks. RCF with the secondary AWP. Funneling their way over on the A side. It's just Jan who is in the Palace. Nak again gets the first kill. Molotov down. This time they're using their utility. They've learned from their previous mistakes. Flashes are hitting both terrorists and CTs alike.
This time, much more favorable trades when they actually use their utility. So Leo not giving up the fight, and RCF is going to join in too. All of a sudden, this is swung back into the favor of Sharks, and just in a matter of seconds, the two remaining players handle what's given to them. 6 rounds on the board. Leo and RCF. We're the players to look out for, according to the desk, and definitely proving to be right.
ENG, though, is still finding kills left and right. Galil, AWP doesn't matter. This T side is now starting to get pretty tasty, but they are back into pistols. Sharks in the meanwhile, though, have an MP9 on RCF, who is using it in the B-apps. He's in a duel to the death with Cello. Going to get the upper hand and look to dart away. It didn't actually take any damage, which is going to be a little bit of a nightmare. Of course, aim punch was a problem.
Max staying alive over at Firebox, doing his damnedest. Down to 2 HP, needs some help now. Leo's on the way. Finds Destiny. Yell desperately trying to get a connection here with the Deagle, not going to pan out. There you have it. 7-7. Sharks fighting back here after a very hot start from INTZ.
7 rounds, though, still, of course, a pretty solid foundation for INTZ to play off. And with the pistols, they're going to have a healthy assortment of rifles and grenades once again. Double up setup. RCF on 15 frags. And he is going to be moving with the AWP towards the B side of the map. JNT actually faking as if he's trying to play in connector. Instead, he's going to be pushing straight up, taking the fight to the terrorists. And he's going to find one, but doesn't land the shot and gets punished with it with his life. Destiny looking to try and get INTZ in the lead going through to the second half.
Leo's taking matters into his own hands, creeping forward. He might run into Cello and Yell here. Crouching past. Oh, and he's going to get pincered here, but he might be able to get a frag or two. Oh, look at that. Oh, God. He tried to go for the big cojones plays, but doesn't really pan out. Cello's going to find him. That leaves RCF as the sole defender over on B. He needs to find multiple kills here to keep them in this.
Oh, he unscopes at the worst possible moment. Misses his chance. And now Nak can exit. Of course, they're going to go for this. It's the last round of the half. 2 M4s. Nades across the two of them. And kits, but exit's been found and dealt with. Nak down to 16, being tagged up. I think he was getting hit through the wooden panel at first. It really confused him. And 8-7 is going to be the score to INTZ on their choice of map at halftime.
Yeah, winning out the T-side half, not a bad feat at all. Especially with the strong comeback. And that comeback being put up by Sharks there. It's just fairly unlucky from Leo's side there. But nonetheless, we're going to be getting into the second half rather shortly. But first, about a minute and a half for commercials, and then we'll be right back.
Now, a second best of 3 from the Americas minor features Furia and Sharks. Sorry, not Furia, pardon me, it's INTZ.
There you go.
We just casted Furia beforehand. It is on Mirage, it's their choice of map INTZ, and they lead 8-7 as they move across the CT side. And this, you have to feel bad for Leo Drunky, because he was looking to try and get as many kills as possible. Look at the reaction there.
Yeah.
It's like he thinks, okay, the 2 players on my left side aren't going to turn around. They're both looking down. Why would they turn?
They're just going to keep backing up, you know.
Exactly. So then suddenly Cello spins around and shoots him, and he's like, sorry.
What have you done that for?
Yeah, why would you do that?
And to be fair, it's a big play to go for. I guess you can always make the argument that he more or less would have had guaranteed 2 kills for himself. And that would have been something to play off of. But again, I can understand why he wants to hold off and
absolutely,
go for the big one. But again, you can pretty much win out the round single-handedly if that pans out for you. Now, though, quick tempo towards the B bomb side here. And yeah, Zan's not going to commit to the balcony peek. Zan drops down, teams up with Yell to find 2 kills.
Yell's looking for more. Drop bomb's been dropped, and he's just landing nothing but headshots. KNG takes it away from him. Second pistol's gone their way.
There you go. The shouting is back at it again. Hot start for INTZ on both halves here. Obviously, they could still turn. We've yet to see if Sharks are going to be able to rebuy or if they want to rebuy into this. For now, though, conservative approach on their end. INTZ looking to extend their lead just a little bit further here. 2 FAMASes, an AUG, MP9, and UMP. That's what they have to deal with. But going up against just Glocks, they should be perfectly fine. Also, pretty telling of what Shark intends to do in that 3rd round.
It certainly is a declaration. This is a throwaway round. This is pretty much a gimme for INTZ. They're going to be looking to run boost across. It's a bit of a failure, I think it's safe to say. They're going to punish Sharks for that one, KNG in particular, with his AUG. To be fair, even if they did do a run boost across, they have nothing to really play off at range. Glocks are not going to do anything against Kevlar.
Just adds to the amusement of the viewers at home.
Yeah, play that round back and put some Benny Hill music, some clown music in the background. Really slick play from Yell here, though. Those are beautiful USP headshots.
Nothing clowny about that. There we go, though. Now the real fun begins, though. Sharks obviously was taking a clean eco, showing their intent of buying up here, and they're going to do just that. 2 Kriegs up into play, 3 AKs. So no op in the hands of J&T or RCF. Still enough to work with. KNG definitely gets caught out early on. He's actually going to be able to find the first kill, though, but again, swiftly returned.
It's not a bad start for the Sharks, and they just got a whole lot better. J&T at range with the SG takes down Destiny. And Cello, I'm not sure about that peak with the UMPs, decided to pick up the SG instead, or the FAMAS, pardon me, which is certainly the correct call.
A little bit better for the range required, but still advantage with the Sharks. And yeah, a lot of focus on fighting for mid initially there from both sides. Don't want to give it up. But now, gamble stack coming in from INTZ. I kind of dig this. Being very assertive about what they want to do. They realize that if they spread themselves too thin, likelihood of winning around with what they currently have, what they possess, obviously not too much utility to sit for a retake. They have to go for something. And this might be the completely correct read as well. Sharks, they won out mid, but kind of forewent the entire map control part of this, so they might be running into the stack. This could be their demise.
It really should be their demise, considering the positions, but with Cello going down first, Zan now has a huge task ahead of him. He's going to get the drop onto J&T. More players scurrying out of Palace. Too much to contend with. Knack versus Yell. FAMAS against AK. The time is against Sharks, but Yell has just taken a battering at CT boxes. He has to move away. Going to be a fake plant just to see if Yell wants to go for a re-peek, and now the full plant. Enough time for Knack to pick up the slack. Back up again, but Yell insta headshot with the FAMAS. APOC is having a hell of a time dancing around.
You can tell how much it means to them, and that's around, yeah, the gamble stack being such a big point of contention there for them, and it actually works out, largely in part to Yell's fantastic display with the FAMAS there. System right up to 11. Yeah, that's,
Mate,
that's a big one.
We need a highlight reel of all
Just a
the
poker.
reactions, man.
Absolutely. Right now, there's no doubt that the temperature, the atmosphere at the minor definitely is a bit different here with the South American flair compared to the European minor, for example. A little bit louder here.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Love it. You don't get too much, chances to witness the display of emotion from teams. Obviously, all the Tier 1 tournaments, usually they're sat in booths or pretty far removed. You don't really have the mics being able to pick up all the shouting and yelling.
Unfortunately, I think some people kind of frown upon it to a degree.
Which is wild to me.
Which I just can't understand it,
It's a competitive environment. And I mean, for anyone who thinks, the experts that you get, or like the the small tidbits, the sound clips you get from, let's say, an NFL game or an NBA match, like is actually the only things that are being said. If everyone's just going, let's go, then you're definitely off.
You're a long, long way off.
Yeah. That's part of being a competitive human being, and these guys definitely have that fire in them.
I mean, the amount of practice, time, effort that goes into being in a position like this. You've given your lives away for CS. Of course it's going to mean a huge amount. Destiny, headshot onto Leo. Going to carve open a potential chance. They're not going to be able to stop the bomb plant, so Sharks at least going to have that ticked off in the box.
Yeah, INTZ seeming to want to play this as safe as possible, not risking anything by diving into a bomb site. So far, seems to be the smart decision as well. Cello does some damage onto Exit. 2v4. Well, it's just a matter of time before Exit goes down here and meets the Smaker. There we have it. KNG. Another round on the board. More and more going the way for INTZ, and keep in mind this is their map pick, so kind of just playing itself out the way we would have expected, but Sharks definitely shown that they're capable of possessing some of that resiliency, as we've talked about INTZ having as well, fighting back in the first half. Still room to do so here on the T side as well.
I think it will be more of a concern for them, though, that they haven't really been striking too often or too hot on their T half. First half was close, but this is starting to get into very dangerous territory. They do have another bye, but you have to feel here, Ven, that they have to make this one work.
Definitely need to get something out of this. Luckily for them, though, money on the side of INTZ isn't exactly that great. You have KNG sitting at a lot of money, but the rest of them have been forced to spend a fair bit of cash. So there's room for opportunities here. 2 rounds in the way of Sharks could quickly spring into a bit of a run for them. JNT makes his presence known with the op over towards Apps. He's really going to come out of it. So far, again, Sharks happy to forgo map control. Cost them dearly on that A push. You would imagine that they actually eventually venture in towards mid, see what's lurking about, see if they can get any sort of information as to what kind of setup they might run into from the side of the INTZ.
Which is interesting, because INTZ against Furia, when we saw them play them, were very aggressive on their CT side as well, like constantly trying to get around the back of Furia, but here on Mirage, it's a whole different ball game. They're happy enough to just sit back and absorb and soak up the pressure. They've still got loads of nades left with just under 40 seconds. 2 incendiaries, they've got a couple smokes, plenty of flashbangs, but what they don't have is Destiny. He's been found by Leo and dealt with accordingly. Yell is going to return fire. Jand proving to be the scourge of the terrorists. They look to push onto the B site once again. Yell's going to get a crossfire established with him. Bombs dropped in the smoke. An Exit JNT are going to give them a second breath. A second gust of wind, but yeah, time is an issue. 10 seconds to go. Cello spot him on the cross. They need to pick up the bomb and get it planted. 7 seconds. KNG switches too soon, and he's going to get punished with JNT's AWP. What a moment to make that complete faux pas.
Oof, definitely not ideal. INTZ were looking so strong there, finding every pickoff they needed initially. Even having 3 players over towards the B bomb site. So while Leo gets the initial frag in ladder room, he's thinking to himself that he's going into a solo man defense. It's not the case. Still, though, they still have some ways to go. We saw the odds provided by GD.bet heavily favoring INTZ, but at this stage, you should win it out. It's a 4v2 situation. 20 seconds left on the clock.
20 seconds, they've got an AWP, having to go aggressive onto the site, like everything you think. If you run that 100 times, 99 times that is going the way of the CTs.
Absolutely. And that's a brutal turn of events as well, because keep in mind, we talked about the economy of the INTZ team. It's not the greatest. KNG had a fair bit of bank, but the rest of them still a little bit in flux, and you can see it's going to be MP9s, FAMASs, lacking utility as well on their end. If Sharks are able to win this one out, very quickly looking at 10 rounds, and we've got a game on our hands.
Absolutely. And again, we said at 12-7, Sharks have got to buy. They've got to make this work. They've got to do something with it. They did. It looked as though INTZ may just cruise towards a 16-7, 16-8 scoreline. Instead, this is very much on the balance. Destiny peering across the palace, sees a couple of heads protruding over the wooden boxes. Has capitalized, but going to have to turn his attention elsewhere. Cello with the MP9. Can't strike twice. RCF has been smacked down to 16 health, though. It's going to be an issue as he's the bomb carrier, but he's now making a move through T-spawn. They are thinking about the potential B hit with exit just ahead of him. And all the INTZ players are centralized. They're in the middle of the map. Neither A or B, so they haven't got a great deal of information or map control. They are hearing the smokes plume over on B, so it stands to reason it's going to be a B hit. It could also be a fake with this much time left. There's a lot of question marks and queries that they have to try and find the answers to themselves. KNG up through underpass. You can hear the footsteps going into B-apps as the bomb is being planted by RCF. Just faking this out, see if he can get one of the CTs to move in. The barrel of the gun is going to stick out, and KNG gets plastered against the wall with that AWP. Yell and Zand, I don't think have any interest in going for this. Major setup for exit frags, as their economy is now in tatters, and these 2 assault rifles would be very valuable. Yeah, just putting the smoke down to make it a bit more difficult for JNT to push back out here, with a Molotov especially. So yeah, it's going to be 12-9, whichever way you spin it. JNT needs to be careful here.
Yeah. Still going to make it out, though. Zan deciding to back off and hold on to these weapons, but here we go. Sharks primed really to a situation where they get to double figures, and INTZ's economy is going to be unstable for quite some time. So they're pretty much relying on having multiple round wins in a row for them to not be on the knife's edge the entire time for the remainder of the game. It's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders.
And it seems like that pressure is becoming too heavy a burden to handle for INTZ. They're letting rounds slip. It's starting to get alarming. That snowball is picking up pace down the mountain for Sharks. They do keep the 2 assault rifles, though, as we said. That's going to give them a fair bit of presence in round 22.
Yeah, Zan's trying to make the most out of it early on as well with the push up into mid. Can't find anyone. And again, Sharks have a very different way of setting up for their defaults than I guess most other teams do. They have very little coverage of mid. It's pretty much just Leo Drunky peering into mid. If anyone were to just really, really hard commit. Outside of that, just leaving INTZ with a fair few options really to push aggressively. This might just go B, go back to B again. Sharks seemingly feel like they've found a bit of a weakness in the defensive INTZ. Yeah, right now, the sole defender as well. He does have an AK, but a bit of a tall order to expect him to hold back 5 rushing T-side players.
Oh, Yell gets obliterated by RCF. He is going to start to plunder the B side. Just the one M4 in play. A lot of these pistols are expendable. They're going to be having a purchase next round, so Cello doesn't feel too bad about taking the risk. It hasn't paid off. This will be Sharks moving to 10 rounds, though. They're breathing down the necks now of INTZ.
And if they were to be able to steal away Mirage here going into Nuke, that's a tantalizing tale for the Sharks here. Potentially closing this out in 2-0. That could be a very real possibility at that stage. TZ, they need to find a footing here, and pretty quickly as well.
Perhaps a timeout then?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been as many timeouts here in this matchup as we saw between Fury and Energy. Not necessarily for the lack of things to talk about, but just different approaches from the looks of it.
Well, it's not going to be the timeout. They're happy enough to just press forward. 2 Orgs have been adopted. Zand, who saved the M4, could drop one of them across to his teammates, so it gives them a healthier amount of grenades. That'll be KNG. It's not a bad buy, all things considered, but it's more the trajectory of how this map has been going that's going to be a concern on the CT side.
And again, just no mid-control at all. Sharks are getting away with murder, really, with how they're setting up their T sides, but if you're allowed to do this, then why not? It's really on INTZ to be able to punish you, and back to B we go again.
This time, Yell is going to get the first kill, and it's on RCF, so he's made amends. He's got his revenge. Leo Drunky using the pillars of the B site to use has a bit of cover, but it's eventually going to run out of time. Exit's last player. This is much better from INTZ. It's taken them a while, but when they have struck, it's been pretty much a complete slap away from the site.
Yeah, a couple of bungled flashes actually there. I think first man to drop out a window gets team flash. He's not able to push forward, put more pressure around the pillars. Just kind of snowballs out of control. So INTZ at least do make that stand that they needed to make early on. Not let Sharks get all the way back into the game, but again, it's still going to be a matter of INTZ not having a stabilized economy. Sharks can definitely bounce back off of this with a round win.
Oh, no doubt. Only 13-10 behind. I'm going to call a tactical timeout for that very reason, because this is still on the balancing scales. It could tip either direction.
Another buy-in, this time with an op on JNT. KNG has gotten his hands on one as well. Now then, if Sharks were to win this, we would be looking at INTZ either forced to buy up with whatever they have in hopes of breaking the economy of Sharks right back, or actually opting for an eco. So the potential 2-for-1 is always going to be apparent here for the T side.
Yeah, I'd say that if Sharks sack either of these sites pretty easily, we'll just see INTZ tap out and save very early on. It's that kind of predicament that they find themselves in, but of course they've got to get to that stage first. They've got to get onto one of these sites. They do have the interference play of Exit, who's over on Palace. Rest of Sharks reside just outside of the B-apps. No significant damage to speak of, really, but JNT tries his hand a couple of times through the wooden panels and through smoke. A bit of a stalemate.
Yeah. Sharks, more often than not, just relying on their default setup to get them going here on this T side. Just don't want to run into any sort of aggression from INTZ to catch them off. Speaking of aggression, KNG's going to peer into Connector. He finds the first opening. That's knocked down. Bit of a spanner thrown into the works for Sharks here. To be left scrambling. They do have Leo up on catwalk here, though. Last time he went here, he was able to find an opening kill. Oh, the boost as well. Are they going to expect this? He's going to drop down. That makes noise, and they can actually get caught out. Back turned. Leo's going to find 2.
22 seconds, but no one is here to stop the push. This bomb will be planted on B once again. KNG having a quick peek towards the apps, but because it's gone down to a 3-on-3, they're not going to go for the save right away. They're going to have a look here if they can try and bounce back onto this side. If Sharks give them a pixel to execute off, if KNG can get this next kill, then INTZ are going to go all in.
They need to be quick about it, though. Like
exactly.
At this stage, I feel like they should already think about falling back.
Yeah, I think the original plan was see if we can get a pick, then we'll try and convert into a retake. They're actually going to go in for this one. This is so aggressive. This could backfire so horribly for this half.
And it has. It really, really has. KNG is not moving an inch, and he's going to fall back now. Is he even going to be able to stay alive with the op? Finds Leo. And you just need to duck out as quickly as possible, not get picked off by Exit. Well, Bomb's going to take care of that issue for you. But still, that's a round 1 by Sharks. They don't really care about the damage they take there towards the end. They're going to be able to buy up perfectly fine no matter what. Again, it's Leo on catwalk there. Finding the right time as Yell drops down from the boost. Back turned. Easy double kill.
Yeah, I'm just perplexed, amazed, bewildered that they actually went in for that retake that close to detonation. Like, I can't believe it. I thought they're going to look for KNG to get a kill. They can then push into the site. If he doesn't get one, okay, we save 3 guns, we can drop 2 more weapons, and we're good to go in the next round. As it stands, they only saved an AWP, and a few players are like $3,000 to $3,700.
And now it's a really awkward situation, right? Because do you buy out behind KNG's AWP? I think if there's any single player on the side of INTZ that you kind of follow behind to lead the charge, and that would be KNG, but you stand at the risk of losing out the entire map if you do. Or at least allowing Sharks to get up to map point. And this is your map pick. You're going into Nuke, which is not necessarily familiar territory for you. Not as much as it is for Sharks. I think that's what they're deliberating now during their tactical pause. Sharks, yet again, being able to fight back into this.
I mean, the decision they make right now, Vendetta, could very well cost them the map. That sounds like a bold statement to make, but if they do force and they concede it, they're in real trouble, and they've done just that. They're going to go for force, 2 MP9s.
FAMAS with no utility.
They've prioritized utility over the firepower of these 2 MP9s, but the AUG and the FAMAS, as you say, bolstering it up somewhat.
I mean, even, prioritizing utility, you don't really have too much at that, really. Zand and Cello got 2 smokes, a nade and a flash.
That counter flash was perfectly timed. Zand with the MP9 at this range isn't going to do a great deal. And the force buy is not going to yield the round. If they can save, though, it's not the end of the world.
But you're saving a FAMAS and an MP9, though. Obviously, the KNG op is the prized possession here, but... no, this is rough times for INTZ. And there's no real reason for Sharks to hang back here. They should be running out on the map. They should realize by now that there's no reason for INTZ to even attempt a retake with how clean of a bomb site take they had. They should be running after the remaining CTs.
I think because Leo, Exit, and NAC don't have a huge amount of funds, and RCF just found an AUG, they're going to play this one a little bit more passively.
It's a little bit disappointing, honestly.
Yeah, because I think, again, it's risk versus reward, right? Like, INTZ, if they get a kill, it's not really that much of a big deal if it's like on RCF. But if we kill one of their players, now
it just utterly destroys them. Imagine if you take out the AWP.
Yeah, exactly.
From KNG, right? Oh well, deciding to play it safe, and everything they've been doing here on the latter stages of the T-half has really panned out for them. So they might just be sticking to what's been working.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think there's a wrong answer there. I think it's just personal preference. Like they want to play to their strengths, and they feel comfortable with having these superior weapons. And of course, they're light years ahead of INTZ in terms of their purchase in this round, anyway.
The big thing here that INTZ really needs to address is this B bomb site defense. They've had one successful throughout this entire half, and that was off of a couple of bungled flashes from Sharks. Obviously, better individual performances on the side of INTZ, but Sharks have pretty much gotten onto that B bomb side as whenever they've liked. That's really the issue. You're not seeing them being punished for not necessarily taking any map control. Again, you've got Exit holding off 2 passageways really from INTZ on the A bomb side, and KNG is going to get aggressive. This is what they need, and this is the change up really in the setup as well from the CT side.
It has been B on tap to a degree, but this round it seems the barrel has ran out, and they're going to be looking towards the A side instead. They're going to be stacking 3 players over here. Still NAC residing around underpass.
Selling the fake though. A couple of flashes was all it took to have 3 players coming off there, but still Zand forward positioned in B apps, but KNG continues his rotation over towards A, so Zand needs to get 2 to 3 kills here.
It's a jump across, but now they're going to be delayed in this push. How much damage can he do? The insta headshot, I think it was through the wall there, made him have a bit of aim punch.
Yeah, still low. Buys time for KNG to get into position. 2v4, actually make that a 1v4, and KNG just might as well take out the entirety of the team while he's at it. Brilliant work from the Brazilian Opera there, and really salvages that round. Starts off with an opening frag, gets back in time for the rotation over towards B again. And I think that was the entire ploy from the side of Sharks as well. The second they find KNG over on B, they're like, oh, well, we're not taking that duel. Goes over to fake A in hopes of finding a rotation. And they do so as well. It's just Sands forward positioning up in B apps. Works as an early alarm clock to get INTZ aware of what's going on. And that puts them back to 14. Also a much better buy coming into this round. And now, I mean, if you're looking back at it, Sharks did have the potential to hunt. Could have potentially taken that up out of the hands of KNG at an earlier stage. Now it's come back to haunt you.
Both teams now, though, do have a healthy amount of weaponry and grenades, so it's well and truly game back on. Sharks, though, no. They're running out of lifelines. They're running out of time trying to submerge and strike.
Smoke has been put down for CPL. Again, mid-control just completely given up by INTZ. Sharks for the better part of the half haven't really done too much with it. We've seen 2 catwalk pushes. Leo leading the charge. That's been pretty successful. Outside of that, though, they haven't really found too much to do in there.
Oh, KNG's going to go looking. What a shot on Tanak that is. An angle you don't anticipate a player to be in, purely off the basis of the jump. Connects onto him. But Leo has returned the favor. RCF, bit of an off angle, going to wait for that smoke to clear. Or maybe he'll just take the fight to CT boxes. Does Cello expect this? Yes, he does. KNG's gone in again. And Sharks are being hunted, harpooned, and exit. Has to try and make something happen in 10 seconds. He's made Cello vanish, but now he's going to have to stick the bomb. Here comes KNG. Easy kill, easy round. 15-12.
That point certainly excites INTZ. They do get a little bit louder once more. Now, though, Sharks, they should still have enough money to buy up here. Got healthy reserves on most of their players. But yeah, the KNG shot, obviously this is from the previous round. The KNG shot onto Knack in mid there.
It's so sick.
He's just so quick.
The thing is, it's such a strange off angle that you very rarely see a player appearing. It's not Delpan, it's not the tight left corner or right, or even the
random
boost
jump
spot.
in, yeah.
It's a random shot. It's just a random jump that he's nailed instantly. His reaction speed is nuts.
And you have to imagine, like, where would INTZ be in this match if it hadn't been for KNG? He's sitting at 28 kills, if I'm not mistaken, at this stage. Put on his backpack. And it's definitely working out for the CT side as it stands right now.
You get that man a chiropractor. You need some work done after this map.
Let's see if it can hold all the way in to actually netting them a map win. Back into it we go. Actually, the buy is not as good as I would have expected. They've opted to get more utility in their hands with the MAC-10s instead of getting AKs on the board. And they might just go back to what was working so well for them for a fair stretch of time. That B push. Zand and Yell pretty much left to their own devices as it stands right now. KNG's posted up by stairs, so he's not going to be in a position to rotate over in time here if there's an execute over on B.
They are going to hit B. It's going to be delayed. Those MAC-10s and CZ will be going in first. Speaking of the CZ, it's Knack who is watching a potential flank, just being safe. INTZ pretty deep and passive in their CT positioning. No one is pushing forward. No one's looking for information. So I'm going to be jumping up and down as soon as he hears or sees anything. A smoke will be deployed. There's a flashbang. Here comes the smoke. And the engage will run its course. As will the bullets from RCF through the head of Yell. He's going to get a second onto Zand. And down goes KNG. Sharks may not be done just yet. Bomb's going to get planted. Cello and Destiny on low funds have a decision to make whether they want to go for this or not. With these smokes blocking them and playing separate angles, they decide that they're going to push forward, press in. But RCF continues to apply the pressure. He's got 3 this round. It's down to Destiny! And the headshot reigns supreme. INTZ going to take their choice of map 16-12.
It wasn't easy, though. Definitely wasn't. And I mean, for further reference, I think they need to look back at this match and also the first Mirage that they played and kind of have a redo of how they play that B defense. It got abused heavily in this one. And I think they count themselves a little bit lucky to have KNG on form, really, to bring them back into this in a lot of ways. But still not over. We still have more maps to be played. And Nuke, Sharks map pick, is coming up. So, I mean, for them to still have a fight in this and do as well as they did initially on Mirage, shouldn't be feeling too down on themselves.
Absolutely not. I mean, Sharks can look at it the way that it's okay. It's INTZ's map. KNG's just dropped 30-odd kills.
Yeah.
He's played absolutely god tier. There's not much more we could have done. We can hold our heads high there. There might be some disappointments and some moments that they are going to look back on, like not chasing down the AWP and dealing with it. But ultimately, they gave a pretty decent showing. Yeah.
And I mean, they still with many chances of actually bringing this back. I mean, even the round that we end up closing out on very easily could have gone the way of Sharks, and it's not like there was this established economy on the side of the CTs either. That could have gone very back and forth easily. So I think there's everything to play for going into map 2. But INTZ obviously can breathe a sigh of relief with closing out their own map pick.
So next up it is Nuke.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it gets any easier for Sharks.
Oh, well, we'll see. I mean, they haven't done a poor job for themselves on Nuke historically. So I still think they're going to go into this with a confident feeling of being able to take it to the third.
All right, well, we're going to head back to the desk. Take it away, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Vince and Vendetta. They'll be back with map 2 for now to break it down. I'm joined by Launders and Fiflaren. I'm your host, Machine, and my goodness, have we got a conversation to start here. Mirage is their map pick, but INTZ, there's blood, sweat, and tears, and a whole lot of decibels involved in their picking up that win.
You know, Mirage is just such an understood map. It's the map that's been in the pool the longest now. I mean, this meta is so developed. Everybody understands how defaults are going to go. There's barely any surprises. You can come up with fakes if you want, but ultimately it's Mirage. Guys.
It's so funny. Like, you actually mentioned this, I think, yesterday when we were watching. You were like, oh yeah, that was great because they went B 96 rounds that half. They went B 400 rounds that half. Believe them. It's literally like Shark. I stopped counting, but Sharks literally just went B the whole time. Like, they had no map control any round. For INTZ, for this game to be this close just comes to show, like you're saying, I feel like a map like Mirage is just so outplayed in this point, in which, like, where's the map control for INT in this area, like on your CT side, of like not knowing that Sharks kept on hitting B with the 5 guys every single round. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Like, you look at it and they end up winning this half, but it just comes to show how really, I don't know, I think we're in just a weird kind of limbo with this map, honestly, at this point. We saw the same tendency from INTC also. We saw hitting the B bomb side again and again and again, really just abusing that. And I think that at the moment we're in this case in which maybe people don't really know how to play that bomb side all too well, which is why we just keep on seeing those just heavy executes, mollies, flashes, smokes, just storming the bomb side.
There's a lot of B plays across from other teams at Mirage at this tournament. But as we can see, the individual plays were heightened. KNG was lights out, and he got to display it with all of these really impactful clutches.
It's not only just the frags and the sheer quantity of them, it's the way in which he's finding them. He's getting shots that you just shouldn't hit. I mean, we were talking about reaction times, right? And it was the one that when you see him get caught out and still be able to react and still frag, that, you know, potential to truly be a world beater when you see the man with the AWP. I mean, this no scope. The fact that you have the audacity and then they roared. I think the cut. Yeah, watch this. The suit heads headset needs to be on.
Yeah,
I need to do my. Don't get told off by the admin.
See what happens there.
Yeah.
What did the
translation?
Yeah, what did they
it
say?
was when he won that round, he said to Sharks, you have a picture of me on your wall.
Right, that's
put a picture of me on your wall. Like, that's pretty sassy, man.
No, I will want to note that clutch we just saw there from KNG, like the shot into the wall, is such a smart play, and it just like comes to show how smart of a player he is. Because you know the CT player is back sight, and you know he's basically just waiting for you to make the mistake of peeking. KNG taking a shot. The CT believes now that he saw the corner and he wants to push him because he wants to get the kill on him, right, before he gets the shot. That's why you saw KNG right after the shot, he waits, gets the other one, and gets this quick scope, he wins the round. And it's so freaking smart, and you don't see that in a lot of these players. Like, normally maybe he just peeks, maybe he just covers the area. Just that one shot does so much for him to win that clutch.
Who was it that was set up? I think it was on Sharks player actually on their CT side to have that snacks round. Do you remember that? He had
that was Leo.
It was
that
Leo.
Was Leo. Oh my god!
That could have changed the whole game.
2 players on the stairs lined up so they would absorb damage, and then 2 players walking that were going to go right by them.
Oh my god!
That sucked. You could see the frustration.
Yeah,
he was counting up the ADR. You know.
And then you sit there and you think I could have just got 2, but he waited. That trigger discipline, it's a 10,000 IQ when it works and 1 when it doesn't. It's always
it's hard to say you make a different play there.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
the 2 guys were walking up behind him. He would have ended up getting the double spray down. In this situation, he could have maybe got 3 or done something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe gotten an early graffiti. Who knows?
Yeah, it could, very well. A minor graffiti. If he managed to pull that off and they turn it around, my goodness, what a story that could have been. But KNG and, of course, the boys from the INTZ did manage to weather the storm of their map picket, albeit close. In terms of criticisms towards Sharks, I mean, you already highlighted their preference for B on the second half, but what was your observations in the first?
Actually, if anything, I wasn't necessarily like all too unhappy with them just hitting B every single round. I actually comes to show with like, I think that they were expecting to play Mirage versus INTZ, and they had just this game plan coming into it of like, they seem to be weak on B. Let's just try and abuse it. Listen, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's their map pick to begin with, and let's just see how it goes. And with that, I do like the fact that Sharks do seem pretty prepared in who they're going to be playing against. And then the odds are moving into the Nuke. If they were that prepared on Mirage, which is the other opponent's map pick, I actually think that we might see a little bit of a treat here.
Fingers crossed. I mean, it's kind of all on Sharks at this point. INTZ, of course, holding that map.
It's such a close map that you wonder, there's a 2-0 potential. Didn't think that this map would be as close as it is, but, we see why as it plays out, and you think about Nuke next, and you're like, damn, Sharks probably... Honestly, Sharks were louder than INTZ in this match. They were actually
really?
louder.
Are you sure?
No, I don't think so,
Are you
man.
sure,
I think they were louder.
Nah, dude.
With KNG and the INTZ coach?
I think even when INTZ in these last few rounds when they were winning, they were not getting as loud as they were yesterday, which I was surprised about. Because I think it really hurt Sharks a lot more.
I feel like you've just been here for 3 days and you're losing hearing because it's so loud in here. Like, they were loud.
It
like,
does. I love that the miners do have that old that old LAN vibe. It's just very much just it's retro, a bit of a throwback to Counter-Strike in its humble beginnings, just shouting at each other in LAN halls when you get those.
We were talking about players coming into this map too. One of the guys that actually noticed was Cello being the top performer. He actually had a really quiet game for INTZ. It was actually KND. We saw that there too, but it's a little bit worrisome if I'm Sharks here. If your best player on INTZ didn't really show up on that map pick, what is there to show like coming into like Nuke, if we activate this guy? But same is there to be said for Leo and also Exit we're talking about. They also maybe a little bit too much of a quiet game for them. I'm hoping that they will maybe wake up here a little bit.
Those stats, pistol round win rate. I mean, I'm going to take it as gospel, but that is 4 maps played and they've won 12.5. Do the maths, Launders. That means they've won 1 pistol round, I think. That's how the maths works. 25% would be 2.
Yeah.
8.
1/2 a pistol.
Half a pistol. So the maths actually doesn't check out. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a B at GCSEs, and that's all I have to say
They
about
almost
that
won
one.
a pistol.
They almost won a pistol.
Yeah, they...
50% of the time they win that pistol round every time.
We've crunched the numbers. They got a couple of kills, I think, on the pistol. Right, that's enough from us. These idiots and I are going to go sit back and watch the game, and you can too, of course, when we get back from our break. The casters, Vendetta and Vince, will be with you when we return. We're going to go ahead and do some sums or some multiplication or so, and see you after the break.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.bet.
Probably certain that they'll win the rest of the game as well. Maybe if they buy a game, so I think that they should just go for it.
Predict the outcome. Win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.
It's been looking pretty good overall for INTZ as they coursed through their choice of map. It had its bumps, it had its bruises, but now it's Nuke and a chance to 2-0. But Shark's going to have a whole lot to say about that. We had a phenomenal performance earlier on Nuke between NRG and Furia. Let's hope for more of the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that the Brazilians can bring a lot of aggression and a lot of flair to their game, and we'll see if that remains true. Shark's chances, but we did see the GG.bet going into it. It is their map pick after all, but we'll see how it pans out for them. They're going to start on the T side, and out NTR they go. Similar fashion to what NRG did, actually. No utility whatsoever, just jumping about, getting into secret.
Pretty courageous, because the USPs at that range can be a real nightmare. Cello on the cross alongside Jean, going to be able to claim themselves 2. Make it a 3rd. Cello goes back in. Leo a bit worried. There's a potential push behind, and Cello with a 4K. USP shots all day. First round goes the way of INTZ.
That was a quick reaction as well from the INTZ boys there. With the rotation, you can see 3 players darting through vent the second it gets spotted out in yard. So definitely being, well, committed to the cause. Cello with 4. He did have a pretty damn slow game on Mirage just now, especially compared to his first outing there on the map. So for him to get 4 frags right off the bat has to do him good, building a lot of confidence. Also, more importantly, getting his team off going to be a nuisance to deal with. KNG chimes in as well. He wants to build up as much money as possible with that MP9. So he can get some easy money in the bank and potentially get to an op earlier. Knack, 14 HP, finds 1 at least, but not going to be able to find KNG as well. So, hog down. I'm assuming KNG is going to pick that up. But all over, easy round for the CT side.
All those kills with the MP9 going into the AWP fund for KNG, which he's going to love. He's already picked one up.
Yeah, the team's probably pretty big fan of that as well.
And it's not just a glass cannon either. It's with some nades and full Kevlar.
He's got all the bits and bobs here. That immediately just makes him that much more of a threat. On the side of Sharks, they're going to buy into this, but no ops. SG in the hands of Leo Drunken. He's been able to find some success with that as well. Zan's going to try to make his way down into Secret. No real precedence there from the side of Sharks either. They just have Leo on top of Silo. I'm not really sure if he spotted that at all, but nonetheless, Cello, bit of a blunder there, not hitting the slant to the wall, so he's going to take damage dropping down. But shouldn't be too much of a disaster.
Shark's going to be looking to expunge any presence on outside. KNG has a lot of smokes to contend with his AWP. Molotov tossed down into Secret, just to be careful.
That leads me to believe that they don't know about Zan's position. Otherwise, they might have saved that to Molotov off the corner. They still have to deal with KNG, though. Ideal position for him to do some damage. Already off we go.
Oh, it's a massacre. They're all clumped up together. They're stuck between 3 separate angles trying to get into main. It is as easy as INTZ could have hoped for. And of course, KNG, hot off the back of 31 kills on Mirage, is not going to miss those shots.
Yep. Actually, it takes so long for Sharks to actually get in towards main there that the smoke that they set up to kind of block off the path for Zan actually fades by the time they're making the swing in. So a little bit of indecision or just poor execution out of Sharks there early on. It's going to make it all that much easier for INTZ to get a 3rd round. Now back on pistols. Quick tempo once more. Cello's not going to find any frags just yet. Luckily, Destiny's there to help him out until he manages to adjust.
So apparently, in the last map, when KNG stood up, when he was really animated after pulling off his sick play, what he screamed to exit was, "Put my picture on your wall," which is some next level trash talking. I love that.
Fantastic.
I absolutely loved that. That's brilliant.
Oh man, you gotta love it when players get creative with that stuff instead of just being the casual like, "Oh, I'm so much better than you."
It's like literally put my picture on the wall and worship me.
Yeah, that is some next level banter right there. You gotta love it. KNG delivering in more ways than just one. Seems like J&T doesn't want to be outdone just yet. Finds the opening pick with the op onto Cello from Squeaky.
And so far, Sharks have managed to get their impact felt in round 5 with a quick fire kill onto Cello. RCF is making inroads through Hut. No players above him.
Oh.
Apart from Zand, who's on Catwalk, but not directly above him on top of Hut, where a lot of people will play, but Exit at least is going to come back in with his SG.
Let's say RCF probably played versus Vinny. Although Knack with the frag onto Destiny, and Exit still winning out the duel versus Yell, leaves KNG alone. 1v3 situation, A-bomb site. Partly opened up, and yeah, it's going to be too much to contend with. Even the Molotov actually hitting him, slowing him down. KNG is dealt with. Sharks get their 1st round of the 2nd map.
So it turns out they did put his picture on the wall, but they've been using it as target practice. That's his first death. 8 kills to his name, having a fantastic start. Most of them, of course, with the MP9.
He's probably going to get multiple chances with the AWP as well. It's being brought out once again. As you said, that bank that he built up with the MP9 early on is definitely doing work right now. Oh, Knack. Tagged down to 16 HP. As he wanted to dive for the vents, doesn't quite make it. And therefore, gift-wrapped package from Destiny is going to be the end of it.
L can't see through that smoke. No barrel of the gun protruding through, as it sometimes does.
See, massive round for INTZ to be able to maintain their streak here to win this round. Molotov dropped early to prevent them from quickly diving on Yell at ramp. So he gets away with it, but meanwhile, Leo out in the yard has been able to find Zan. Opens up another avenue for Sharks to attack from, and also more pressure points for INTZ to deal with.
Well, speaking of Vinny, this is the same position where he went huge earlier today. Yell is looking for more of the same. All he has to do now is stall. He doesn't have to get the highlight reel-worthy play to win the round.
One in Rome.
So well played by Yell, wasting so much time, but now Leo comes up. He got the first kill outside for Sharks.
Bob is dropped in a really awkward spot, though.
And time's also beginning to work against Leo. It's not looking good.
Yeah, has to go all the way into the dark corner to retrieve the bomb, and now using the smoke to cover off KNG, he kind of needs to find a different avenue. Actually picks up another smoke, so that's actually going to allow him to potentially get a bomb plant down, but KNG doesn't care about smokes at all. 5 rounds to INTZ. There we go. Started off the match with GGBet favoring Sharks. Now with INTZ firmly in the lead. Back being favored. Could be looking at a 2-0 here.
Absolutely.
1.52, and yeah, you said, yeah, try to replicate what Vinny was doing. Not in the same fashion, but it still definitely does his part. Finds 2 frags and also buys so much time for the rest of his team to rotate in.
You can understand why the odds are changing. 5-1 lead, Sharks on a pretty poor buy, and not much money on the horizon if they were to lose this. This is about as good as you can ask for INTZ. He's just spotted a lot of players on ramp, so he'll be darting back, giving KNG the green light to pick it up. But actually, Sharks have decided better of this. They're moving back into lobby.
It seems like INTZ are pretty quick to recognize that fact as well, that the pressure has gone away on ramp. Destiny moves up from vents again, so he's not going to get caught at least. Not yet. Bomb drops as well, and finds a second one as well. Does solid damage onto exit too. And this time, they don't check for the Vinny position, and Cello makes the most out of it. You can tell a bit more energy to INTZ now that they're on a bit of a run here. Definitely were periods where Sharks were out yelling them, at least on Mirage, once they got a bit of steam under them.
One map definitely helps as well, of course. They are 1-0 up. But this was brilliant work by Destiny. They did run into him 1-by-1 though, which is a bit of an issue.
Yeah. It's a hard angle to I guess, squeeze more T-sides.
Yeah, you can't trip over each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, though, tempo definitely switched up here. Vent dive coming in. This is pistols, but they've managed to successfully get down. Taking damage, sure, but might give them a chance to get a bomb plant down here. Yell doing a solid job of dropping the bomb as well. 2 frags to his name. Nobody actually picking up the bomb immediately, though. Off the back of it, that's going to allow for KNG to find JNT. And now, pretty much your chances of getting a bomb plant have significantly vanished. An exit left alone.
Yeah. I'd say pretty close to 0 then.
Yeah, that's... you're not wrong with that. Now, Cello continuing his good form. Started off the pistol with a 4K, now up to 11. So a fair amount of assists as well. Much better showing out of him here on Nuke so far than what we saw in Mirage. I think he's actually already surpassed the amount of frags he had on Mirage. If I'm not mistaken. He was rummaging towards the bottom there. Now, tall order for Sharks to get back into this. Called the tactical pause to talk things through. I mean, I'm not the body language expert here. That's you, as we've earlier established. But what do you have to make of the posture on the side of Sharks? Not looking too hopeful, is it?
It's looking grim. It's looking grim, isn't it? You can understand why too.
It's been a bit of a rough one, hasn't it?
I mean, they've got to keep their sort of positives going, that they're on the T side. They can easily still come back into this. It's not over yet, not even close.
So lots of Counter-Strike left to be played. And I mean, it's not like they got off to a hot start on Mirage either. And again, the vent dive for Leo. Actually, everyone's getting down the vents. And this time, much better results coming from it. Only issue, though, KNG, he's downstairs already. He's found the bomb. Oh, this is the first one. Actually gets punished this time. Exit with a double kill. Oh, JNT, you're in trouble. Zand might be a little bit over-eager there. Going for the early frag before actually seeing the full body. Bomb's gone down, and this is just going to waste valuable time.
Stabby stab.
I'm not really sure why JNT wanted to start spamming through the smoke at that stage, but definitely gives away his position. So $1,500 at least into the back pocket of Zand. So now that they save, a little bit more cash to work with as they have to rebuy here. Yell running a little bit low on his reserves.
I was going to say originally he should give that red container a hug because it saved his life. And now I'm thinking, well, if he just died, it wouldn't have been extra money in the back pocket. And, of course, the sad times of being knifed. Yeah. So, every cloud.
Well, then, at least they get a second round, though. That's by far the more important part here for Sharks. As you said, still not out of it by any means. Lots of time to get back into the swing of things. And even though we've seen a definite trend of teams getting more and more T rounds, doesn't mean that you have to get necessarily 7 or 8 to stand a chance at this. Usually when we see nuke specialist teams, I mean, as good as they can be on the T side, they can definitely have shutout halves once they swap sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. But what's worrying me then is one of their better players, RCF, is 009.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good trying to mount a comeback, but they need one of their better players to really stand up, and it's Cello that's doing all the talking with his AK-47. Zand helps him out, but there's his second. He's shattering and smashing this aggression. JNT been smoked out. Bomb's in a horrible spot this round.
Falling apart.
It's dire, isn't it?
Really is. Another Molotov just to add injury to the already pretty sad situation that JNT finds himself in. Everyone on the side of INTZ gathered around the inner bomb site. They know the bomb's dropped. No reason to leave. If JNT wants to try to save, I think they'll just be happy to let him do that. Instead, Destiny pushes forward, gets found out. 1v3 definitely makes it more doable. Didn't take too much damage in the process either.
And it's more the issue now that they can focus their attention on Hut and Squeaky for the time being. He spots a second. KNG, they're called to the rest of his team that he's currently situated in Hut, hence all of the wall banging.
Cello definitely fumbles the spray there. Now, though, how do you get out of this corner without dying to KNG? Well, I guess that's one way. KNG actually drops down. That feels like a bit of a mistake. Cello down to low HP as well. This could definitely be done now. Time is becoming a bit of a factor, though. You can see INTZ playing very passive. Knowing that they've been close to fumbling this away, but Cello peeks in at the right time. Still very, very prominent opportunity there for JNT to actually swing that back.
Yeah, I can only assume that KNG just made a mistake and slipped. Yeah, because you want the higher ground. It adds different layers of verticality. It makes it even harder to come out of there because you're having to switch your spray control or your one-taps from headshot height suddenly up to a different angle. It's a brutal way of doing it, but hey, these things happen. And it's costly, though. They lost a couple extra players that wasn't necessary.
Could have gone out of that round with 4 players staying alive instead. It's just 2. They also, well, I do imagine that Cello picked up the AWP that KNG dropped on the lower bomb site, or on the bomb site, but still, reinvestments having to be made.
It's the armor, the kits, the nades.
All of it.
Additionally, an extra M4 needs to be picked up. You know, it all has a knock-on effect.
It does add up. You can see, yeah, it's not too great in terms of reserves for INTZ. ENG sitting at 2K, Cello at roughly 3. But outside of that, not really too much money on their side. And there's still going to be another buy coming in from Sharks here. So this might be the round that swings things back in their favor. Molotov's gone down. KNG misses once more. Second time around, though, it's not going to get away with it. But that is such a hopeful swing from RCF.
You have 2 smokes still. Like, why are you not putting the wall of smokes down? Okay, they have got KNG, so it's somewhat making amends. But that's such a head-scratching moment.
It's unnecessary, right?
Especially when you hit that first up shot miss, you're like, okay, right, he's going up outside, let's maybe not test him.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you want to do continue on with the boost on top of T-Red, you can do that with the smokes down. KNG is still probably going to try to fire off shots through the smoke at least once or twice. So you get just a good of an opportunity, really, to get the kill. Nonetheless, though, they managed to bring it back, and they have made their way down towards the lower bomb site. You can see there's one player from the ramp side, that's Yell, kind of hanging about. He needs to be worried about Knack eventually as well.
Destiny is making moves downstairs. They have no idea.
Oh, God.
They have no idea at all. Let's say cue the Jaws music, but it's the Sharks that are about to get hunted now. Destiny, he's about to put down some serious pain. I think Leo saw him.
I'm not sure if he actually did. Just felt like that was a little bit unsafe. Nonetheless, though, it does end with them getting a bomb plant down and the kill onto Destiny. So what was looking so fruitful for them is quickly falling apart. Yell, and the initial defender of the lower bomb site, still well and alive, but his team is kind of going by the wayside. Finally, the backstep comes in from Knack. He was very about it. So was Yell.
I'm absolutely mind blown that with Destiny's flank, all 4 of the players of Sharks survived that round. I was sure that not only would INTZ win the round, but it would be like a comfortable one. We saw Stanislaw almost do an identical play earlier today.
Yeah, just a very successful one.
Yeah, the only difference that actually worked. So it is going to be a save, as you highlighted.
Yeah, no crazy force buys here. And this is something we saw Furia do as well. J&T trying to summon his inner art. Cello, I mean, doing the best Vinny impression as well. So we're seeing a lot of inspiration from Furia here in this one, but J&T is going to be able to clean it all up and all over. Pretty solid round from Sharks there to be able to deal with it. So 4 rounds. Again, we talked about it. It's not necessarily doom and gloom if you only end up with 5 to 6 rounds on the T side of Nuke. You can still shut it out. Again, if Nuke is your map pick, you're more likely to have solid rotations, good communications on the CT side, which is pretty much the alpha omega of being successful on this map. Even if you might have a bit of a struggle on the T side, you can still make up for it. So INTZ, for as good of a start as they had, still need to keep pressuring Sharks here.
Smokes deployed just to stall the squeaky push. Made lands plumb on the face of RCF. He's lost nearly 50% of his HP.
Yeah, I'm curious, has RCF actually gotten on the board yet? Sharks have been winning round, but I'm not sure if things have quite loosened up for him. Exit, oops. Didn't quite connect with the ladder, but it's only 11 HP at the very least. Actually, that could be pretty significant considering they're going up against M4s.
Yeah, he puts him into the headshot range now of the M4s, insta-kill. So it's a little bit of an unnecessary vulnerability.
Then see what comes of it. Put down the smokes outside in the yard. Actually not going to utilize it to the normal effect. It's going to be Leo to swing in from main.
Again, they go looking up at the top of Hut, and then they're not there. Stacking a lot of their chips on the table, and so far, it's not working out for Sharks. It seems as if that round is going to be more of an island.
Do make their way downstairs, but Yelts should be here to at least put up a bit of a fight. Actually, it's Zand to do it, but still, end result is the same. 2 quick kills for him with the tagged up players on the side of Sharks, and the 9th round. INTZ bringing it back here. Might get into double figures sooner than later. Yeah, RCF still yet to frag. It's not ideal, as you said. Meant to be one of the heavier hitters on Sharks, and for him to go missing at a time like this, definitely not what you need.
So many grenades being tossed towards Hut, giving him safe passage downstairs. It's not without injury, though. Knack, Exit, Leo, all feeling the sting of the Molotovs and the HEs. Bomb is going to get planted. All 10 players remain. Not for much longer. First blood in round 14, claimed by Leo with an AK-47. KNG peering round the corner. Quick shot onto Leo. RCF He's going to step up. There we go. He's got some kills. They could be very impactful for the round 2 and the half.
Definitely is. Finally gets on the board, and that pretty much secures the deal for Sharks as well. And looking at this, I mean, 1,600 on Cello, 2K on KNG, but the rest of them being pretty broke. We'll yell at 1,500. It's not going to be a great buy going into the last round of the half here for INTZ. See, 2.9, 3K, 2-1, 1,700 on Zand. This could very easily be a 6th round coming up for Sharks here. Considering how many struggles, it's at least felt like it's been an uphill battle for them throughout this first half. Getting 6 rounds would be pretty respectable. RCF with his 2 first frags of the half. Come at a much needed time as well.
Honestly, what's even more brutal than him not having a kill up until that point is he had 6.3 ADR.
Yeah, he hasn't even been touching people pretty much.
Yeah. But that changed. He's now put himself a few kills. KNG before the smoke. Gonna get exit down, but Leo aggressively forcing his will. Imposing it on INTZ. The firepower favoring Sharks.
Well, they know that he's there, though. How do they deal with it? That's the bigger question. How do they actually get Destiny out of his position? They do have people working on their way up to heaven. Destiny's actually just walking around freely on the side. If Sharks had been a little bit more affirmative, could have gotten something out of it. Instead, it's going to be yelled on the rotation under heaven. That's going to go down. Yet again, Sharks focused on that lower bomb site.
Man's going to be tested. MP9 up close. Flashbang destroys him, but Cello, it's going to help him out. Bodyguarding Zand. Play advantage shifts and shimmies into INTZ's favor. JNT, pardon me, is going to be going for the fake plant. See if somebody's going to go peek out a decon.
Not happening, but how do you get a bomb plant here? Well, you don't. That's pretty much the easy answer. And INTZ, with the labored buy, still managed to pull it through, so they do make it to double figures. That is somewhat unexpected, but still, all to be played for here in the second half.
It sure is, and we're going to find out if Sharks can come back or if they are going to lose 2-0 after this very short commercial break. A 10-5 deficit faces Sharks head on. Can they muster the strength to come back on their choice of map, Nuke? If they can't, INTZ will move to face off against NRG in the next matchup in the upper brackets.
Well, we'll see what Sharks have in store. Again, it's their map pick. It's oftentimes, I think it's safe to assume that they should have a good grasp of how to play that CT side. That's something that usually Nuke specialist teams do pretty well for themselves. See if they can live up to that. Away we go with the second half pistol. But again, quite the important one at that for Sharks.
It'll be fast. Going to be up in the face of Sharks. JNT turning his back to make sure those flashbangs don't affect him. Doesn't make any difference though. He's still going to be smacked down instantly. INTZ are just swarming the site. Leo, the next player to fall in the flashbang. In the face of RCF, he can't really do anything to counteract his fallen teammates. He's going to be stymied and forced back in heaven. He's been spotted now. He knows there'll be multiple crosshairs facing him. He decides to try and make a different go of it towards main. And there is Zan with a USP. Second pistol round 1. 11-5 lead, and it's starting to look a little bit bleak for Sharks.
It's not the start that they wanted, that's for sure. Completely overrun. J&T there just waiting for so many more nades that he just gets into a spot where there's no idea where the opponents are. He's already lost any sort of crossfire help from his teammates and eventually gets picked off. He's turning it back. Might help against flashes, but they certainly don't help against bullets.
KNG in this series is just 1 kill shy of 50. He had 31 in the first map, 18 here on Nuke.
Can put your bottom dollar. That he's not going to stop at that.
There's the 50.
Yep. Decapitates Knack, and he's looking for more on top of T-Red. Smokes go out. Molotov behind CT Red, or CT Blue, I guess it is now. If they can force JNT out of position, he's not going to go that deep. He's already spotted out exit, though. Hunter's really posted up here out in the yard, refusing to move, see if there's anybody else that's going to gift wrap themselves in. And they do. 3 kills go the way of INTZ. Leo Drunky with a Zeus. Might be able to pick up 1. He does. It's such a satisfying sound, isn't it?
What isn't satisfying is it's a MAC-10. He was hoping for one of those assault rifles.
Yep.
It's not really a worthwhile gun in the future, and KNG decides, I'm just going to spray through the smoke. What could go wrong?
Absolutely nothing. 97.7 ADR as well, so not just getting kills, doing a ton of damage all across the board.
There's going to be a lot of plaudits for KNG with how well he's done over the duration of this best of 3, but Cello is really putting in a shift as well. 19 kills, but 8 assists. His ADR is off the charts too.
Yeah, and he was doing such a good job here on Nuke early on. I mean, go back to the first round pistol, or first half pistol, ended up with 4 kills. Set them off on the right track, that's for sure. Apoka giving notes and details to his team. And we'll see if the time it's taken, basically because they're assuming that there's going to be a buy-in here from the side of Sharks, considering they only ran into USPs in that previous one. If they do assume so, we'll be right. Limited utility on the side of Sharks. Again, as always, pretty tough to deal with any sort of executes from a T-side team without Molotovs. See if the pace is slowed down. It doesn't seem like it. Onto ramp we go, and what an opening from RCF. Had a rough time of it over on the T side here now. Already doing better for himself. Everyone's just falling apart here. Whatever utility mishaps or issues they might have had doesn't really come into play at all. Only Zans to find any sort of reply.
Yeah, I never take joy in seeing a player struggle, so it was good to see RCF that rattle off a few frags as we know he's capable of. Hopefully this is the beginning of something special for him and Sharks from a neutral's perspective.
For them to get back in this kind of a buy as well is such a big deal. Now it's all about making sure that enough people stay alive. We saw INTZ having a bit of a slip up there where a 1v4 went down to a 1v2. Ended up winning it out, but it goes here for Sharks, except that they don't really have any cushions to play off of. And Zand's going to find a second one. That's Knack going down.
Have we spoke too soon here for INTZ? They've got Zand going back to spawn, so no, they are going to be conceding the round, but a couple kills going to allow Sharks to mull over a few decisions going through into the buy timer with replenishing some guns. They don't really have the funds to afford an AWP, which could be a bit of an issue, as there is definitely a buy on the horizon for INTZ.
Yeah. Sharks not going to be in a perfect position, but at least they do win a round, and they can start that CT side comeback. Oka rallying his troops on. Bit more of a laid-back approach from the Sharks coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, the difference is quite staggering. It was the same earlier when Furia were playing in RG.
Yeah, I'm a pet being just completely quiet, and then yeah. Guerri just shouting from the top of his lungs.
I mean, having a super hype coach, it depends on the players whether that works or not. Some players are way more chill. They prefer a more relaxed environment.
It's very true.
Outside control being established. INTZ gonna be pushing through the smokes. No one's home for the CTs as it stands. And again, this is mainly, you have to say, down to a lack of AWP. Can't really afford to station anybody in garage or just outside. Even Heaven, you saw KNG doing a lot of work on the CT side. And he is the first player to peak, and of course he is. His confidence must be sky high with how he's playing.
I mean, he's got a scope on that gun too, right? So it's pretty much an op. Works the same way.
RCF maybe next on the chopping block. He showed himself on the lockers. There's more than just Yell up here, though. There's so many targets for him to pick, and he seemingly got stuck in transition and indecision in his mind as to who he should focus fire first. Now ramp. It's going to be the battleground that INTZ decide to fight and potentially die on. Smoke tossed out from RCF. 3 players pushing him, but Nak is there to at least get the retaliation kill. A 2-on-2. Some serious damage being inflicted by Exit. Tagging Zan down to 28 and dealing with his teammate of KNG. He was thinking about going for the full plant. He's just a bit worried in case Leo pushed through the smoke, but that's not going to be the case. And he's going to be afforded the chance to actually reposition now. I think he's going to push into decon potentially.
Ooh, door still being open as well, yeah.
That is a slight mistake from Sharks that could cost them so much.
See, yeah, they're going to have a hard time figuring out where Zand is playing from now. You have diffuse kit at least on Leo, so can play for a bit of time as it stands right now, but no smokes, no way of actually cutting him off, but Leo apparently has read that situation brilliantly.
Yep.
Sharks get their 7th.
When they saw that decon was open and they checked the other angles, where the bomb was planted, it was perfectly for control room, so may as well have one player staring up there just on the off chance. Good attempt by INTZ, but Sharks up to the task. There's really this play from Exit when he gets a kill and does a ton of damage to Zan. That was the pivoting moment.
Oh, absolutely. Now, let's see, it's not going to be a fight back from INTZ just yet. You can see pistols being invested. Actually, Zand diving pretty deep into the checkbook to find a MAC-10 and a couple of nades, but see if we can actually do something for him. Oh. Yell ran out of bullets on his ZZ. Zand has actually found a frag with a MAC-10, so getting some return on the investment. It's not going to find a second, is he? No. RCF aggressively pushing into lobby from ramp. There's no doubt that he's the most vocal player on the side.
About time we heard something from Sharks. They got something to cheer about.
Absolutely. And again, very, very possible to get a streak going on the CT side.
So another tactical. Similar idea behind the Furia timeouts earlier too. If Sharks start to get a little bit of momentum, let's just quiet it down somewhat. Let's make them stew.
Is it weird that I'm disappointed by the fact that Apoka doesn't keep the same kind of intensity in his timeout talks as he does when he celebrates rounds?
I don't know,
Can you imagine having a coach like that just screaming in your ear?
That would do my head in, to be honest. It would be very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Though.
Like for entertainment value, I think it'd be amazing.
Just dancing around, screaming.
Yeah.
You know, just basic tactics, like not even mad.
Yeah, it's just like, do the default! Really hammers the point home, doesn't it, though? Oh, bit of a gap there for J&T to potentially work off of. Seems like it's just initial smokes being thrown up. Nothing really that INTZ wants to commit on early on. Okay, I say that second smoke goes down, and that definitely blocks it. So Destiny's gotten into position behind T-Red.
Much slower pace. INTZ perched up passively on top of Silo, just watching the lobby. Sharks have played aggressively a couple of rounds, so making a read. It's almost like an anti-eco sort of step from INTZ, but they know they're against rifles. They're just trying to slow this right down. Start to build up the pressure now with KNG finding the entry onto exit.
A lot of this can rely on when RCF decides it's safe for him to push behind. You can see after that initial trade there, he was kind of lingering. Just thinking about it at the very least, but we're going to see a setup for yard smokes here from INTZ. Still going to have to deal with RCF at some point, though. Zan might be the one to get a bit of a nasty surprise here.
That's a grueling angle. You're up on a different headshot angle, but also perfectly plays crosshair of your own. JNT funnels the shot onto KNG. There's a player to his tight left, which is the bomb carrier of Cello. He is low, and there's Nak around the backside. Destiny was the player that they were trying to set up to get down secret with their smokes.
He did get down, but it's not all A-OK, as you would imagine from that body.
It's like the Terminator thumb. He may have burned, but the rest of his team's going to be all right.
Yeah. For Destiny, he's going to hold on to the AK at the very least, but not the round that INTZ wanted. So the Sharks' comeback is looking more and more likely. Kind of reminiscent of what we saw in Mirage as well. Although this time, it's on opposite sides. It's the CT side where Sharks are going to have to do most of the work here. RCF as well, from having an extremely rough T side, starting to get back into the groove of things. 8 kills to his name. Keep in mind, it took him 14 rounds to get a first one. He's been stepping up the pace.
Yeah, he sure has. Been doing a good job on the CT side. They're going to be funneling down onto the top of main. JNT doesn't snatch at his chance. He just decides to play a bit more passively. It does cost Nak his life, but it's worth it. One death for a potential round. They'll definitely take that trade. AK-47 will be retrieved on Yell. No Kevlar. Aim punch a problem. I mean, to save this AK wouldn't be a terrible idea. It's just more the fact that there's a minute and 10 to play with.
Yeah, that is a definite issue. Then again, we've seen actually a fair few of these teams at the minor here not necessarily being too keen on hunting. More focused on what they have to play with themselves, more so than their opponent. And again, though, there is always the downside of surviving as a T. I mean, as you said, it doesn't have Kevlar or anything to that effect, so that's something that he would have to reinvest into regardless. And for that AK to really have any sort of prominence in the upcoming round, so might have just been better off for it. Updated odds from GGBet. Sharks are creeping closer once again. They started off the game being favored. Obviously, then we had the big run of rounds from INTZ that put them ahead. Right now, the CT side is looking primed to continue picking up rounds as we wait for the T side here to find any sort of answers.
Yeah, it has been a seesaw of Counter-Strike, up and down for both teams. It's been hard to really completely back one team over the other. INTZ definitely looked like they were going to take this away. But full credit to Sharks. They are showing they do have a bite after all.
Absolutely. We saw Coachy, the coach, no pun intended, of Sharks, providing his insight. See, a former player for Kick Esports back in the heyday of the Portuguese 1.6. With Fox and the likes. We'll see, though. Nak has been able to tuck himself into secret rooms. Smoke goes down. He's going to be able to peer over that with the smoke down. This is a great angle for him to hold. Obviously, it's a bit on the timer as well. As soon as those smokes dissipate, he needs to tuck himself into the corner again. KNG misses the opportunity to find an opening. Still very exposed.
Yes, but I think that smoke is starting to clear, or already has cleared. So now Nak has to play more passively. If he were to peek out, it'd be a free kill.
Question is, how patient is he going to be? Will someone from INTZ actually expect this angle? So just making sure everything's all right in the lobby. Here, the majority of the push is going to land at the feet of RCF. He has a Molotov primed, so the second he spots his shoulder, that's going to get dropped down.
Yeah, that flash is going to do it. Doesn't need to see anybody. As soon as the flashes detonate, throwing a Molotov. JNT's joined him. It could be a fake, though. KNG outside.
That's so quick.
Gonna get Nak. Now they're not sure. Should we stay in ramp? Should we actually rotate? This is leaving RCF alone, but he's starting to make a move around the back as well. 30 seconds to go. This could come down to time still. Leo is perched on the A site. Molotov's being expended at the back of the vents. They try and clear out as many angles as possible before they decide to pull the trigger and go in. Leo's position now shown. KNG, though, bounces straight back with one of his own.
On their drop-down vents as well. Open avenue for the lower bomb site. Still, yeah, Sharks a little bit confused as to what just happened. Where did all the INTZ players go? Now they realize, now they might just have to give up on the round as well. Retaking with an op, man disadvantage, not an easy decision, especially when your quickest avenue down to the bottom of the site is vents, but they're going to deal with KNG, also Yell. And in a matter of seconds, they managed to retake the bomb site from inside vents. That seemed like a bit of a blunder from INTZ, if I'm honest.
And that's the most animated we've seen Sharks.
But it's a massive round for them. RCF is definitely fired up. Now even Kochi getting into it. All right, then.
Do you know what it reminded me of? The way he was sat there doing that? It's like a smaller brother like hiding behind their big brother. Yeah, that's right, you suck.
Take that.
And of course, as soon as anything happens, he's like,
whoa. Like, I didn't say anything.
Wasn't me.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, that definitely picked up the... spice up the temperature here. Feelings running high. At the time being, as Sharks has already completed a bit of a comeback here. They might get even back to even numbers. 12-11. Pretty much an all-in buy on the side of INTZ. Obviously, they have a loss bonus to work with, but haven't really found too much success on their T side. A lot of it has been predicated on KNG doing stuff, and even when he picks up 3 in that round, still not enough.
By the way, if INTZ win this round, prepare the ceiling to get blown off. They are definitely having some words. There is no doubt.
Yeah, double op setup actually on the CT side. See how this pans out for them. Obviously, pretty much removes any type of mobility that they have. So makes retakes that much harder.
Flash in, but no one was even watching that side of ramp. Now RCF is going to come in. Even trade. JNT going to take that equality away from INTZ, and it's just got a whole lot worse. Yell still alive, exit at the back of the site. Is dealing damage. And Sharks going to get us back to even, and that's most of the savings depleted. INTZ in for a half bite.
Well. If pressure wasn't on INTZ before, it definitely is there now. They've only netted 2 rounds on this T side, and that was off of winning Pistol and an anti-eco. Outside of that, it's been all CT all day. Exit doing a great job there with this SG. Net himself 3. I love the fact that it's like all the yelling, it's not directed at the monitor either. They're always looking over to
100%.
to INTZ.
But I mean, KNG did the exact same thing multiple times.
Absolutely. And you have to wonder if there's a similar comeback, you know, if anybody else is having to get pictures or posters on the wall. That said, though, KNG is doing his damnedest to carry this 28 kills to his name.
Yeah, he's 59 kills over this best of 3 so far.
Yeah, we're only 2 maps in. Well, not even full 2. Unbelievable. CF drops the Molotov early. Still not going to prevent them from running through. Finds one, but that's all there's going to be. Want to retrieve that. JNT misses the opportunity to at least give them the man advantage. Krieg picked up. Zand has armor as well. He's found 2. Okay, then. I think he accidentally found exit while shooting for Drunky.
I needed to see that on the replay because it did seem like it was a bit fortunate. I thought Sharks were just going to give up B and then pincer on them with the superior grenades and firepower, but this is quickly shifted out of control. And Sharks, do they even go for this? It's back on 37 health. They've got Incendiary, they've got a nade. There we go. JNT's gone on to Yell, but he's lost most of his health in the process, and Cello will push him over the edge. His 25th round looks like it's going the way of INTZ. Molotov banks off the box. That should be Cello out in the open. He may die as a result of it. No, he doesn't. That's what I was waiting for. Glorious. I love it.
Oh, this really, you know, it takes an old hard back, doesn't it?
It does hit those nostalgia feels.
I'm happy we get to see it in 2019 as well. It's not a thing lost in the past. And it adds in a completely different atmosphere. And yeah, you can see Zand is just firing away at will. Finds 2 there. Unfortunate for Sharks. But definitely what INTZ needed. The question is, can they actually follow up on this? That's a lot of things aligning for them to make that round happen. Still, at that point, it's still not easy for them. Another smoke goes down, so J&T without an opportunity to actually find a kill. Down secret we go. Rotations are being made currently, so they're a little bit slow on it on the side of Sharks, but with INTZ slowing down the tempo, should still be fine. Pretty heavily committed as well. Right now, it's only Knack. He has a lot of work to be done. He needs RCF to come down and help him out here. Prevent any sort of crossfire. Smoke's going to go down for control room window. So a little bit of pressure alleviated for the time being for Knack, at least.
Still a minute to play with. The T's don't have to fully push in just yet or commit to anything. Still have players watching behind them. Knack, though, in a world of hurt if they decide to push. It's good smoke. It's going to delay any control room pressure.
Still has a Molotov, too. And we've seen teams actually get stuck once they get lower control. They don't really do anything with it. Knack's going to lose out the duel, though, to Destiny. Big get, surviving on 2 HP. Zand, accurate as ever with that SG. Oh, this might be a disaster in the making for Sharks. KNG's going to follow up on that as well. And the 2 remaining players on Sharks, they've shown definitely the courage to attempt retakes, but a 2v5 might be a little bit too much to bite into.
Oh yeah, this is bridge too far. This is absolutely too much to ask, and they've got poor economy behind it. They can drop 2 guns as a result of this save.
They might have to, yeah. J&T have to purchase up for himself. That is, if they're allowed to save. You can see Cello and Zand. They know what's up. This is something that didn't really go punished when Sharks was playing that T side on Mirage, which allowed for KNG to hold on to it. As AVP and everything, it seems like they're prepared for it. They know what's coming. Zand still going to continue on his march. Any weapon he can take out of the hands of Sharks in this situation is going to be massive. Finds 1. And I mean, that's really all you need. That might actually just deter the rebuy.
Screw the match. Let's get one of those.
Can we get a live translator on the floor?
Too. But can we also get one of those measurements that gets decibels? see who wins in terms of just
it's like
raw,
right next to a Poco. I think it might just shatter the device.
Just raw noise. I feel like INTZ are winning that battle too, to be fair.
At least at times. Sharks do reply pretty decently themselves, though. But they seem to kind of reserve their yelling for the real impactful rounds.
Yeah, I would love a translator, though. KNG's come out with some banging lines. I'm sure there's some...
There's definitely more to be had. So yeah, for anyone at home speaks Portuguese and are able to make out what they're saying, please do let us know.
We might not be able to repeat half of it, I'm assuming.
That's okay. It can be our little secret. We can know about it.
Well, here we go.
Into the action once again. Not the greatest of buys, as you mentioned, on Sharks, but they're still going to commit to it. They do have an op on J&T. One already. Cello aggressively out of Squeaky finds Knack.
Okay, the first kill. Gonna go the way of Sharks, which has been the first time for a little while now. Oh, J&T! Okay, and it's KNG that he's put down. A big part of the explosiveness of INTZ has been diffused.
Being a great opening kill for INTZ to all of a sudden losing 3 players. At a snap of a finger, make that 4. Yell falls. Zand left alone. Okay, missed shot from J&T. Opportunity presented for Zand here. Oh, just not wide enough. Doesn't spot RCF coming up the ladder.
Doesn't get the kill, though. He's given him a chance. He's given him a slight glimmer of hope. There is a second player through on Heaven's side. That's exit. 14-13. And silence. I was expecting an explosion again.
I think right now Sharks are just way too focused on what they need to do. They're still around behind. If they can make it to match point, I think we're going to hear a roar beyond anything else we've heard so far. Here we see Cello's opening frag onto Knack right before the smoke blooms. Look at this. It's the aggressive pushes that catches INTZ off guard, and obviously a bit of luck there for JNT to find the connection on the KNG behind the smoke.
INTZ may just think, okay, look, KNG got wrecked through smoke. That's just unfortunate. Let's not be deterred by that. There's an XM, though. This is the kind of range where it can be a nightmare, but that jump wrecked Leo. That jump absolutely threw him off completely. RCF is still here, though. Can he pick up the pieces? Can he try and turn this back around in a position where Sharks can get back onto the site? If he loses, and if Sharks loses, it's going to be 2 match points to INTZ.
It's not a lot of money, really, to rebuy either. JNT's got his head covered, at least for the time being. Oh, and gets his head ripped off for it.
RCF is still here, though. He's still lurking. He's not made any noise. Is this an angle you're going to check after killing a player in ramp side? There's a lot of times that INTZ aren't rushed into going for B.
They're waiting for Cello. I mean, they were, but Zan finds an opening onto Knack as well, and he's going to find second one as well. There we go, yeah. It's not Sharks making it to map point, but it is INTZ to do that. Apoka needs to make sure Zan sits in his chair.
Apoc is like, sit down, mate. Come on. We've still got a game to play here.
Oh, man. It's turned into quite the battle, this. And, I mean, we talked about KNG leading the charge. Zan, for the better part of the last 5 rounds for INTZ, has upped his game. 28 frags right now. He's feeling hot.
Also, you know it's getting a bit out of control when it's Apoc like calming people down.
Exactly.
When it's him. The guy that's dancing around like a madman when they win rounds. Either way, Sharks have a really bad buy. As you say, it is proper bottom of the barrel, and Knack has missed his opportunity, missed his chance. This could be it. INTZ in cruise control. The Sharks can't handle them. That's a beautiful flashback.
Oh, still
decent dink, but not the kill, and that's not good enough for Sharks. They need kills.
Zan's going to continue on with the aggression. Doesn't directly go onto Heaven. Wants to check beneath as well. Be foolish to give away an SG in this kind of a position. RCF with the aggressive push. He might catch someone off guard. It's at least going to get a ton of information for his team to work with.
Yeah, poised, positioned, ready to push. JNT, that's the bomb down. In an awkward position, RCF is going to use that chaos to his advantage. All the kills going the way of the Sharks. INTZ are going to be resting on Cello. He still has a bit of time to play with, and 80 health remaining. This is doable. This is maybe getting into likely for Cello. He is behind in terms of health, but he's going to have the positional advantage. He's not sure if maybe Exit's gone towards the Heaven. He's going to be peeking around the corner, and Cello connects the headshot. That's it done. INTZ 2-0. Taking it down.
And I think those pictures and those showings of emotions kind of speak for themselves on what that means for this squad. And it's a hard-fought battle. Sharks were definitely in it all the way. And that last round, Cello with 1v4 to clutch it out. Absolutely incredible. And you can see, it's all a part of the game. It's been yelling back and forth, but
scream at each other, then they go and shake each other's hands like gentlemen. We love to see that.
That's how it's meant to be,
exactly.
Right? Like all the yelling, all the words that are being thrown back and forth, it's just a part of the game.
Exactly.
When it's all over. Just respect for each other's craft, and this time around, INTZ being able to close it out, and that was a fantastic match. I was a little bit curious as to what we were going to see. Obviously, we haven't had the opportunity to cast Sharks leading up to this point. But they definitely delivered, and I think INTZ, again, showcasing great form. KNG, just always a pleasure to watch play Counter-Strike, and I think towards the tail end of it was all about Zand.
Yeah, I think he got over 60 kills in those 2 maps, which, like, what